Here's my admission, Ted, and don't sue 14-year-old me. But I started filming hunts when I was 14 or 15, right? Just like home video type stuff. And I'd make them for like my family. We'd watch it at deer camp or whatever. And every time a deer was about to get shot with a bow, Stranglehold intro would play.
I'm telling you.
Here they come.
So like by the fourth or fifth hunt, like Buck's just walking in the field and the Stranglehold starts like, he's
coming.
Yeah.
It's about to happen.
Well, Fred Bear is the spiritual soundtrack. Stranglehold is the killer soundtrack.
That's it. Yeah. HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Predator Camo.
That's right, man. Predator Camo. We've been rocking that stuff for, a little over 10 years, a full decade now. It's kind of hard to believe, but we stepped away, a year or two, tried some different stuff over the years, but at the end of it, we always come back to Predator Camo.
Yeah, and I mean, even in reflecting back on this season, like I started off the season in spring green, killed that elk. You killed all three of your bucks, I think, in the fall brown, which has kind of made its return back to the lineup. And yeah, it's been dependable, and it's funny when you know that you're in a stand and the deer is looking at you, but it's looking through you. It's a completely different feeling.
They have some new stuff. So, they went through an ownership change a couple of years ago and had the opportunity to give them some feedback. And I think we're getting ready to see the results of all of that coming out this July in some all-new apparel lines.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were able to see it at ATA. I know some of you guys might have been able to see it at some other shows, but it's awesome. And anyone listening to this, when it goes live in July, can use the code HUNTR, HUNTR, and use that for a discount on Predator Camo, as well as during the spring here. If you're looking for turkey stuff and want to get spring green, same discount code on PredatorCamo.com.
Don't blend in, break out.
And we're back.
Ew.
HUNTR Podcast, episode 317.
Ew.
Nick keeps
As for
us in line
settling in here
from
yeah,
afar.
Nick.
Listen, do your part first. Do your part first.
All right. Yeah, just because it's going to go wild here quick. So, hey, thank you guys for being here. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, those are the three main platforms we drop these episodes on. We do that every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you like, follow, or subscribe any of the channels, they'll notify you when the episodes drop. If you've written us on Instagram DM or the website, those are the two places that we track the most frequently. Admittedly, truth. If I'm being honest, I'm a few months behind on the email stuff here, but we are diligently trying to by deer season, by backstrap season, I'll get back with those.
Okay.
They're flagged, and in the meantime, we have some HUNTR merch on the website. You guys can check that out, or you can use code HUNTR. Promo code HUNTR, HUNTR, for a discount in some way, shape, or form on any of our partners' websites. So now we got that out of the way. Here we go.
Buckle up. I'm sure just because I know my mom and dad are huge fans of this guy. Who knows where this will go, Mom? So there's the disclaimer at the bottom. But we have Ted Nugent on the podcast today. And
we're graced with the mystical flight of the Backstrap Brotherhood, himself, and we're going to get a lesson in all things, conservation and politics. He's been around for a lot longer than we both have. So I told him early on we're looking to learn today and just have a fun conversation. Really get to know Ted, for ourselves. He obviously does a ton of speaking engagements and has a public platform of his own and stuff. And so we being somewhat removed from like media just across the board and stuff, I think
mainstream.
We're just gonna get to know Ted for ourselves, and hopefully he'll reveal himself to us. Right?
It's funny because we tell people all the time, we're like, listen, we don't have any plan on how these podcasts go. We just go in and walk in. This is the one where I don't know where it's gonna go. I have no idea.
I sense that as well.
At the end of it, I believe everyone will be entertained and say that was damn good.
We can promise entertainment, and that is literally it.
Okay. With that, let's not hold him back. Open the gates, and we'll bring him in.
Ted Nugent.
Man, sometimes, Ted, we keep people in that little waiting room, per se, and I'm like, are they biting their tongue? We kept it short and sweet. Sometimes we'll drag that out, but I was like, we already started it before we were even recording. I was like, he's ready to go. He's ready to rip.
Well, about you're getting to know me. Come on, guys. I'm so simple. I'm like the truth, logic, common sense, scientific, humble servant of God's miraculous creation. You already know everything you need to know about me. Now, there are liars and goofballs out there, which, by the way, you have a button you can get a disclaimer. You know who will disclaim anything I say? morons, complete numbnuts. So by all means, disclaim whatever I have to say, because everything I say is irrefutable, evidence-drenched truth, logic, and common sense, unless you think Joe Biden is a human being.
Well, Jared said it earlier. I mean, you obviously do a ton of speaking engagements, whether, voluntarily or just because you kind of have been put on that pedestal to do so. In your experience of kind of what you've had to deal with lately, do you think we're getting worse or we're getting better at this point?
Well, I control my world. I've been clean and sober this is my 78th year, which will be my 78th deer season, by the way. I was on my dad's back in the deer camps of the Manistee National Forest in 1949. How lucky am I? But the point being is that I observe information, evidence, and reality really accurately because I aspire to do so, especially as a bow hunter, where that higher level of awareness will dictate where the protein arrives. In my world, my band, my crew, my family, I have the Sunrise Safaris hunting operation, my guides, Paul and Jim, and my son, Toby, my son, Rocco, everybody involved with my life. Here's the word, the P word. They're perfect. You dealt with my assistant, Linda. She's been my assistant for 37 years. If she was in charge of America, we would run out of rope by noon tomorrow. We conduct ourselves in a whirlwind of positive spirit, positive energy. So my observation of the world could be really skewed because I'm looking out on my Serengeti right now. It's a beautiful rain. We put in the food plots today. We've been doing it for the last month. We have scimitar horned oryx dropping calves. We have black buck antelope dropping fawns. We got Awadad rams, wild sheep from Africa. They're dropping lambs all over the place. The songbirds, there are 66 variety of bird life on my property. I put my hearing aids in because I know I'm going to hear some important stuff from you gentlemen. And by the way, Jared and Jeremy, thank you for letting me be a big mouth because I love that First Amendment as much as I love my Second Amendment. But my world, my music, I'm doing concerts in 2026, the 250th anniversary of America. I wrapped up the greatest hunting season of my life last winter and last fall and winter. And of course, with exotics and varmint and my trap line and the hog hunting, I'm continuing the greatest hunting time of my life. That's a miracle.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the world, I'm having the greatest music of my life. The concerts, all I see is teeth and eyeballs and skinny girls dancing. My band is so tight, so dynamic. The music is so much fun. My life is so much fun. I fight the satanic, evil Uncle Sam power-abusing monsters every day. And then God rewards me with a squirrel broadside at 30 yards that my dog, Jackson, will retrieve. So my take on things is that I have circled my wagons for excellence. I go to bed every night with giggling. It's such a wonderful day because I know I've crushed evil Democrats and liberals and communists. I know I've crushed them. They can't debate me. It's hysterical. And then I run my traps and I kill the coons and the skunks and the bobcats and the coyotes and the reds and the grays and beaver and river otters. So I have this wonderful life. So it's 2026, best year of my life. That being said, outside of a conscientious life, liberty, and pursuit of gonzo happiness, rugged individual American, outside my world, it is toxic.
Yeah.
I mean, in Michigan, they're debating $1 rule and antler point restrictions. Shut the So I want to meet the man who can tell another man what represents a trophy. I want to meet this punk. They're punks. And in Michigan, they're going berserk trying to retain hunting license families while they chase them away with regulations that are nothing short of bizarre. They're going to try immunocontraception in Washtenaw County instead of having the #1 bow hunting licensed state in the nation, you might want to just open the season September 1st, go to March 1st, no bag limit, no tags. Well, that's outrageous, Ted. Yeah, because the overpopulation is outrageous. The trucks and the cars don't have a bag limit.
Yeah.
And they don't have any paperwork for all the deer they're slaughtering on the highways. You make the ride from my swamp in Jackson County to the Detroit airport, even though I don't go to the Detroit airport because I will not let a TSA guy try to tell me what my Glock is. That's hysterical. And never have I counted less than 100 dead deer. And it's only 100 miles.
Yeah. Ted, catch us up real quick.
So I have a handle on things, so I fight the idiots. And unfortunately, the worst idiots are our own guys. Well, crossbows aren't really archery. And whatever. So I'm on top of things, and I have a truth, logic, and common sense A10 warthog, and I just strafe the idiots.
Yeah. Ted, catch us up. You live in Texas full time. Is that correct?
Yeah, we moved to Texas in 23 years ago, which, by the way, the Texas I moved to isn't Texas. It's a suburb of San Francisco, the worst game department in America. Texas Parks and Wildlife, anti-hunting, animal rights freaks.
Really?
Texas Parks and Wildlife. They're goons. They're horrible goons, and I've met them face to face, and I go, you know you're a goon, don't you? You know you're violating your Fourth Amendment when you cut the lock on the guy's ranch and wander in without just probable cause, right? You know you're a bad guy, right, Captain? So they've never met anybody like me. So at the end of this wonderful HUNTR podcast with my blood brothers, Jared and Jeremy, I hope I accomplish one main thing. Stand the fuck up for science-based wildlife management that is not mysterious, not ambiguous. There's no questions. They want another couple $1 million to study the relationship on Isle Royale. They want to know what the relationship between wolves and moose are. So they need many million.
They kill them. They eat them.
You don't know what the relationship between wolves. So, I live in Texas, and I fight these goons every day. In fact, I'm involved in all 50 states, every state. I think the only state with a meaningful, proper, responsible, moral wildlife manager is Bill Jones in Arkansas. He's the only one, I think. I think every other state is run by animal rights people. Well, not Montana. We're like Big Sky. No. You've had more grizzly bears killed in self-defense than ever in recorded history, and you still call them endangered. You're a liar. The game department, they're lying. Anyhow, I could go on, and I'm sure you're going to let me.
Yeah,
no,
we will.
I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Because one of the biggest things that we talk about here is from a state level department, right? Every state is managing their wildlife different, which is crazy because it's a political boundary, right? It has nothing to do with the wildlife itself. You know, there's no difference between a deer in Arkansas and a deer in Louisiana, right? And so if you look at it from the state level, what we continue to find, and that's my background, Ted, right? I work with the deer and deer hunting guys for a long time. 15 years ago, I was doing DDH TV. But, most of the people when I was graduating were not hunting and fishing advocates, right? They were conservation biology people. And those people,
I wouldn't give them the credit of conservation. They're not, and biology. They're not adhering to conservation or biology. They will look you in the eye and go, well, we have to consider social considerations, like in Washtenaw County. So if the social considerations would be from people at the hash bash. They get to dictate deer policy. A bunch of people smoking hash at the U of M, they get to influence policy, and they do. So I know where you're coming from, but no, it's science. And I know I'm just a guitar player, but here's the science. Habitat carrying capacity, population dynamics, winter severity index in the Great North, and wildlife in the asset column, not along the highway slaughtered by vehicles. And I know there's a balance that has to be accomplished, but those of us that manage our own property, we've achieved that balance. And the bureaucrats are against balance. Whenever you meet a human being that thinks that our tax dollars should go to shoot parked deer in Jackson County, Michigan, where there's more licensed bow hunters than anywhere in the world, instead of just letting the bow hunters do it so that those deer are in the asset column instead of the liability column. And that scenario is unfolding all across this nation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't have an ego. My enthusiasm ate my ego when I was 8. My enthusiasm for life is to step back. I was raised as a bow hunter by my dad and Fred Bear and George Nichols and Bruce Gilpin, the original bow hunters from Roy Case in Wisconsin, 1937. I was born in 48, so I was there in the beginning, where it was about how many deer can the land produce? How much surplus are we morally obligated to harvest to maintain balance for the next year's fawns? And that's applicable to all species. And so when you've got Long Island, capturing deer and immunocontraception.
It's dumb. It's morons.
How offensive. That's like saying, hey, God, I'm going to give you the middle finger because your science sucks, and we're going to have Mondani manage the whitetail on Long Island. So it's so, the egregious violations by game departments is so offensive, so obvious. The CWD thing, my God, if that's not the tip of the toxic spear of abusive power, I don't know what would be. And let me just state the facts. This is not I don't have opinions about this stuff. Well, Nugent's opinionated. No. Venison is food. That's not an opinion. The deer will produce surplus. They have to be harvested. That's not an opinion. That's science. My guitar is the sexiest guitar in the world. That's not an opinion. My point is, the CWD is the new scam. I think Dr. Fauci's in charge. More deer will die on the highway today in America than all confirmed cases of CWD ever. No, not the ones you found CWD after you killed them, after they brought them into the check stage. Those didn't die from CWD. Well, it's always fatal. You have no idea if it's always fatal because you don't know these millions upon millions of deer. You don't know which ones have it. And we're going to kill them and eat them before you test them, because the only test that matters is when I kill them and eat them. And here I am, healthy as Natty Bumpo. So Natty Bumpo, whatever. So I fight against these power-abusing bureaucrats, which are universal, and I shut them down. Have you never noticed how I shut them down? It's so beautiful. They're scared. Yeah. They're scared of my truth, logic, common sense crowbar. And the job of we, the people in America, is to keep bureaucrats scared.
Ted, you're talking about government intervention with deer, mainly deer, but wildlife populations. And so you talk about a balance, and it's hunters' responsibilities to keep them in check. I mean, do you think that we're doing that successfully?
Well, it's scattered. Some places, yes, some places, no. I mean, let's show another example. And again, this isn't an opinion. Those of us that hunt waterfowl, which I love just as much as bow hunting deer. I mean, my dogs, if I didn't take them duck hunting at least 4 times a week, they'd file for divorce. I love waterfowl hunting. My dogs and I just have the time of our lives doing that. The people who actually live with waterfowl, i.e. duck and goose hunters, we knew that the snow geese were overpopulated dangerously a long time ago, and that 3 shell limit and shooting hours and bag limits were irresponsible to the population of those snow geese. So they finally got their head out of their ass, the bureaucrats who are going to determine wildlife policy on a computer screen downtown Lansing. They don't know anything. These people don't know. They wouldn't know a snow goose from a pterodactyl, but they're going to tell us how many. So finally, 3 shell limit got rid of. We can use electronic calls. There's no bag limit. And we need to save the habitat in the tundra where they nest, and they destroyed everything. Looked like a moonscape. Well, we the people knew that. I'm a guitar player, but I knew that if you didn't hunt wolves and moose on Isle Royale, that eventually the wolves will eat all the moose will be gone, then the wolves will die off. I'm so embarrassed that I had to make that statement, because the people that are gouging our tax dollars will claim that they need to study that relationship. They should have sold wolf licenses and moose licenses every year, so those precious wildlife species would have been in the asset column, family hours of recreation, venison, and balance. So in some areas, Again, mostly private ground because we, the people, do everything better than the government. The government can't do anything right. I mean, maybe we should spend more tax dollars studying gender relationship of gerbils in Cuba. I mean, or maybe Somalians taking tax dollars for a Leering center. I mean, there's so many examples that prove what I say. So in some areas, for example, on my property in Michigan, I have 1,200 acres of sacred swamp. You guys got to witness. Oh, my goodness. I'm sure on the 8th day, God looked around and went, there's going to be a loudmouth guitar player that represents my miraculous creation. And we should probably have a beautiful, beautiful hunting land for him. Let's create this. My land, I have botanists and biologists come to my property. I have a fen. I have the largest fen. And most people listening around, fen, what the hell's that? Well, I'll tell you what a fen is. It's the only transition I support between a swamp and a marsh that grows the endangered Mitchell-Satter butterfly on the equally endangered Christmas tree fern. Well, the Mitchell-Satter butterfly and the Christmas tree fern is not endangered on my fen, and the biologists and the botanists say because I shoot a lot of deer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm just a guitar player. I wrote Wango Tango and I meant it. So I should be the least knowledgeable about wildlife. But I, Ted Nugent, know more about wildlife than anybody in any game department because I live with the animals. I've lived with the animals. This is my 78th year. I've always lived with the animals. Mm-hmm. I monitor their condition. I monitor the browse line. I eliminate the browse line by increasing my harvest and telling the bureaucrats who came down on my 1,200 acres, well, I'm going to issue you 3 doe tags. I went, no, turn around and walk off my property. You're offending me. I need 300 doe tags, not 3. Go away. Go away and come back with 300, or I'm going to skewer you in the media for being such an immoral, irresponsible, anti-hunting freak. That's what I said to her. And she goes, well, that's rude. I go, no, I'll tell you what's rude. Looking at all this damaged agriculture and offering free doe tags, that's rude. Sure. You're the rude one. I'm the one in charge here. Get the hell off my property. It was awesome. Scared the shit out of her because she met somebody who knew about wildlife and she didn't. I have so many examples of this, and people watching me right now go, geez, he's awfully uppity. You're damn right I'm uppity. I'm not going to, thank you, ma'am, for the 3 doe tags. I really appreciate. Thank you very much. Is there anything else I can do for you? No, I'm not calm. I'm not Mitt Romney. I'm not bringing a doily to a gunfight. I'm bringing an 810 warthog to a poker game.
Yeah.
Well, Ted, in those situations, how much abrasion do you think is coming from, let's say, biologists and stuff at the game agency versus, in a lot of cases, it's legislators that are filing these irrelevant laws that have nothing to do with science-based wildlife, and that's what's being enforced?
Well, again, at my age, I never went to college. I was too busy learning stuff. That's why I'm really, really smart. And I'm not really that smart, but in this world, I look like Einstein compared to these goons out here, these liars and these scammers and these Leering Center people. It's so fun to ascend above the dolts and control that. I'm sure you've seen my Pierce Morgan interview. I give the benefit of the doubt using the term interview. Mm-hmm. What we have here, we got to go back to the orchestrated dumbing down of America.
Mm-hmm.
It happened before World War II. We can go into the horror stories of MK Ultra and Operation Paperclip, where our government literally turned on America, went against America, and sided with the enemies of America. We can go into that historical horror story. But bottom line is we are graduating people from high school who can't talk.
Yeah.
We are graduating people from high school who can't read. They don't know what a belt is. Though somebody ought to give them one, and I'm not talking the one around their waistline, that can't write, that can't spell, that don't know what food is, that think that precious sacred wildlife can be described as a cartoon character. So the dumbing down of America is at its all-time embarrassing level. And those are the so-called biologists, the so-called scientists, the so-called wildlife managers that have meetings to hurt the conservation families of this country. And the evidence is irrefutable. I give you the USDA and FDA food pyramid that we just turned upside down. The government gave us a food pyramid that was chemical warfare upon the citizens of America. Would someone like to debate that with me? Call 1-800-NUMBNUT. The point is that the government bureaucracies, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, untrustworthy. Department of the Interior, untrustworthy. Those aren't Mustangs. Those are feral horses that we're spending $50 million a year on. And we're not allowed to sell these overpopulated horses, destroying the finite habitat of desert bighorns. And we're not allowed to sell those horses to the dog food company. But if you adopt one and the people that adopt them, they sell the horses to the dog food company. Does that not hurt your soul? That depth of dishonesty. So what we're dealing with is biologists that abandon biology. There's a biologist in Long Island that instead of increasing the bag limit in the harvest window for overpopulated whitetails, will literally spend $3,000 a piece giving them a vasectomy. This is a biologist recommended that. That's not a biologist. That's a goon. And I laugh in their face. For example, in Michigan, we have an overpopulation of sandhill cranes. It's irrefutable. Tens of millions of dollars in agricultural compensation. When the sandhill crane is a federal migratory ribeye in the sky, gentlemen, everybody listen to me. If this doesn't hurt your soul, you have no soul. So they'll give you paperwork to shoot a couple sandhill cranes instead of the hundreds that we need to shoot per farm. And then the ribeye in the sky, by law, must lay in the field and rot because it's against the law to consume a ribeye in the sky. And you know what I tell them? Fuck you. I'm having ribeye in the sky for dinner tonight. Come on over, put me in front of a jury, and you explain to the jury how I'm supposed to waste this precious protein, and I'll eat your fucking lunch. I can tell you an example like that in every state.
And what's the point there? Like, why?
They're immoral.
Yeah.
They're not just stupid, they're immoral.
Yeah, obviously, I don't think anyone, non-hunting people even would say, yeah, we want you to leave it for waste.
It's unbelievable.
Completely defies the purpose of killing it in the first place.
Is that a problem in Michigan? So, Ted, we're from Pennsylvania. We're not from Michigan. We've talked to some Michigan folks, but is this sandhill crane overpopulation? This is an issue. This is a social issue. This is something that people are talking about.
No, because worse than the bureaucrats that are abusing power and raping our paycheck and our tax dollars and raping the land with the wind turbine environmental horror story and the solar panels, those people are horrible. But you know what's worse? Apathy. Hunters, these game wardens will trespass on their property opening day. There's TV show called The Wardens. You should be ashamed of yourself, Outdoor Channel. You should be ashamed of yourself, game departments and game wardens. You should be ashamed of yourself trespassing on that old man's property on November 15th. He waited all year for that opening day, and you trespassed because someone said he had a salt block on his farm. This is a concern to who? They ruin his hunt. They take his pistol. He was keeping and bearing arms, gentlemen. He was keeping and bearing arms. They cited him for a felony for keeping and bearing arms. Then they dropped the charge and destroyed his pistol. And they put it on TV like they're proud of it. Shame on you people.
We agree. We've seen that
with me. I dare you to try that with me.
We agree. We've seen that. There is a lot of overstep. Yeah. In the management department and also the enforcement.
More often than not.
Yeah. It's sad. Ted, I know a lot of good people personally, ranging from my age to your age that have done nothing but follow the law, to the best of their ability their entire lives, that have had some very negative interactions with game before, like situations like you're talking about there. And it's very unfortunate for us and for them, frankly.
Yep. Well, I'll put the icing on the toxic icing on the toxic cake. There are people watching right now. Nugent's a game law violator. He's a poacher. They got him in Alaska. No, they didn't. It was lawfare before Donald Trump came down the escalator. It was Barack Obama and Eric Holder were given the directive to hurt Ted Nugent where he lives, which is Second Amendment rights, voting, and hunting lifestyle. and they sicked the U.S. attorney. His name was Jack Schmidt. And Jack Schmidt, you're a punk. Hey, Jack Schmidt, U.S. Attorney of Alaska under Barack Obama and Eric Holder, you have no soul. I wonder how you're raising your children. Do you lie to your children like you lied to the court in Ketchikan? Because I shot a bear during the bow hunting season on a bow hunting island with my bow and arrow, with a bow hunting license, with a bow hunting tag, and I hit the bear on TV because you know when you intend to break the law, you're going to share it with 50 million viewers.
Sure.
It's always the wise thing to do. These people are insane. So I bounced the arrow. I was shooting a bear razor head, which I have right here. Fred Bear gave me this broadhead. Sharpened it this morning with a hard helical, high profile. I shot that bear on TV with my son filming, and the arrow, because the broadhead, when it hit the rib, if it hit the rib horizontal, it would have sliced.
Yep.
But at hard angle, it hit the rib as the arrow was turning. It hit the rib like this, and on film came right out. It pierced the skin. We showed it on TV as a technical lesson. 3 days later, I shot the same bear. And it's on TV, and they charged me with felony Lacey Act violations, with hunting illegal and illegally tagging. That was Eric Holder and Barack Obama, which, by the way, hey, Eric Holder and Barack Obama, fuck you. You pieces of subhuman snake shit.
Ted, what was the accusation? That you shot more than one bear?
That I hit a bear and my tag was no good and I kept hunting.
I see.
And by the way, the judge I'm so precious. The judge in the courtroom in Ketchikan said, Jack Schmidt, I've been hunting bear on Prince of Wales Island my whole life, the last 60 years, and I've never heard of this law that if your arrow hits the animal that your tag is invalid if you don't tag that bear. When did that happen? So the judge on record said he never heard of, which, by the way, I knew the bear wasn't hurt. We watched the video. We put it in slow motion, stop action, saw the arrow bounce out. And the bear came back 3 days later and I killed him. And that was never brought up in court because that became exposed a year or so later from a taxidermist assistant who said, the bear hide that we handled, it had 2 slices. It was the same bear. Anyhow, and then in California, same thing, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service under Barack Obama and Eric Holder convinced these weak cowards of the California Game Department to charge me with not tagging a deer when I tagged the deer. I tagged it on TV. But they said, well, you didn't register it. The law allows my friends to register it the next day because I left the state that night. So it was registered. I just didn't take it in. And by the way, the year that California charged me with illegally non-tagging a blacktail was the year that the California Fish and Game gave me Conservationist of the Year award.
Oh, that's ironic.
So, by the way, I sound very passionate because I am. But you know what? I love Mexicans. But if I was at the Alamo in 1936 and they're climbing the ladder to take away my freedom, I'd shoot them. I love Game Department people unless they're jackbooted thugs and they abuse their power. When that old man had a deer license, he had a deer gun on deer ground during the deer season, and they ruined his season because someone claimed there was a salt block. What role in God's name does a salt block play in the world of conservation? And I'll go ahead and answer that insane rhetorical question. It doesn't. Salt blocks, bait piles, dropping corn, sugar beets, it plays no role whatsoever because the deer are swapping spit in the belly of the doe. They're already swapping fluids. And on the way out, they're still swapping fluids. Every day of their life, they're still swapping fluids, and they haven't even gone to the salt block yet. So my point is that it sounds like a super pain in the ass, and it is, but you know what? I enjoy this.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Deer Grow.
Man, hard to believe, but Deer Grow has been the sponsor that's been there since the beginning of the HUNTR Podcast. Back in 2021, I think that they were the only partner that we had, but it's such a cornerstone brand and set of products for our food plot strategy throughout the year.
No doubt. And it seems like we used to have an off season, but not so much anymore. It's like when the hunting season ends, it really rolls right into food plot season, habitat projects, all of the above. And the Plot Start and Plot Boost have been there since the very beginning. That's a cornerstone for all of our plots. The Plot Start goes on at the beginning, Plot Boost goes on midway through. And since they came out with all of the fertilizers, that gets mixed in with the Plot Boost application as well. And I can't believe the results that we've been getting out of that.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like I said, it's all the work now that really produces the results in the fall. So right now, anyone listening to HUNTR Podcast can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, for 15% off any of the products at deergrow.com.
Better food plots, bigger deer.
Ted, you were in Michigan on the legislative floor, and I know you mentioned it earlier about a lot of these laws chasing people out, and that's why our licenses are decreased. And I think the example you gave was the kid who had the opened or unzipped bow case basically and got a fine for it, which I think anybody listening to this is just like, yeah, that's bullshit. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I mean, do you think that is the major factor of us, quote unquote, losing hunting licenses right now?
Well, there's quite a recipe to that disaster, and it starts with people losing interest because we become spoiled, and too many people are soft and not rugged and not adventurous. So that's an element. I don't know if that's more powerful than the regulations that are ruining people's lives, because I believe that the number one cause is overregulation, but equal to that is access.
Yeah.
People have a good piece of deer farm in the heartland or anywhere, or here in Texas, it's all private. And they see that land that they paid a lot of money for, and they're being raped with property taxes, which are illegal. They would like that wildlife to help pay some bills. So you can't wander around. Now, when I was growing up, and by the way, this scenario is really important. When I was growing up in Michigan, I was born on the Rouge River and in Detroit, but it was full of game. No deer at that time, no deer really below Clare, but there was pheasants and quail and woodcock and grouse, and just awesome. Right there off of Hazleton and Florence, where I was born, and I spent every day in the woods chasing critters with my homemade bow and my homemade slingshot. But as I was growing up, my dad disciplined me to be polite and courteous. And I might not come off as polite and courteous, especially if you're the enemy. I'm not going to be polite or courteous to you. I'm going to rip your head off and shit down your neck. But I am a polite, courteous man. In fact, my children's camp proves that. People bring their young sons and daughters to be influenced by the guitar player who can be very polite and courteous, and PG-13. But I would knock on doors. I was never turned down.
Yeah. From
a farmer, I said, my name is Ted Nugent. I live down the road here, and I see these deer crossing every day. Would you mind if I bow hunted this fence row? I'll be glad to do chores for you, and I'll even pay you, and I'll share the venison with you. That was my opening statement. And I looked like a wild man. I looked like a hippie. I had long hair. I was a scary man, not as scary as I am today, but I was never turned down. And people to this day, there was a state record buck killed in Michigan just a couple of years ago on 5 acres out in the western part of the Lower Peninsula, where the guy just knocked on doors and go, I see this deer coming through here. I see you got an apple orchard behind your house. Could I bow hunt? He goes, yeah, go ahead. There's too many deer here. And he goes, well, thank you very much. I'll share the venison with you, and I'll maybe fix some fence. It's how we carry ourselves. And a lot of people think I'm savage and a crazy man because I'm a crazy savage when it's appropriate. But I'm a conscientious guy. I deeply care. If you met my kids and my grandkids, my incredible wife, Shemaine, my band, my crew, my hunting, everybody in my life are the kindest, funniest, hardest working, dedicated, cocky, positive people you'll ever meet. But I'm extremely passionate in the face of evil and abusive power. That's why my voice elevates. That's why I get a fisticuff going, whether literally or figuratively. And today, I did most of my hunting in the Manistee National Forest up north, federal state land. A lot of people, hey, hunts on a game ranch. You just can't hunt. Oh, shut the fuck up. What a bunch of losers. What a bunch of, I think they're inbred. The people that don't like me are inbred. They're whatever. The point is that I learned the hard way. If what Fred Bear said stands true today, if you can kill a deer in Michigan, anywhere, whether it's a private farm or Manistee, if you can kill a deer in Michigan with a bow and arrow, you can kill anything that walks on earth, because these deer are berserk spooky. I'm very animated because I'm alive. I'm 78 and God gave me another day. How dare I not be animated?
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm in my tree stand, nothing. Nothing for hours.
Yeah.
And when that doe comes in doing that head jerk, I go, yeah, give it your best shot, bitch. Just do all the things that saved your life, because I'm going to kill you in just a minute here. And so I know all about that. And by the way, speaking of the numbnuts, they go, that's a canned hunt. It's fish in a barrel. Oh, shut. The spookiest deer I've ever hunted, Spirit Wild Ranch, 330 acres, high fence. These are the most alert deer I've ever hunted, including the King Ranch and the Kennedy Ranch in South Texas. And those deer are retarded. Those are my favorite deer. Those are the dumbest deer that ever lived. And it's free range. Illinois, my buddies have farms next to no hunting forest preserves. That's like shooting hippies at Woodstock. I don't know if you want to air that. It's a pretty nasty statement.
No, you're right.
These are the dumbest deer. And I need a dumb deer once. I crave a deer that's not looking for me. But on my property in Michigan, my property in Texas, these deer are born walking backwards, looking in trees. These are the spookiest creatures that ever walked the earth. And I love it like that, because that's why when I get to full draw, it's like the cherubs come out of the clouds blowing trumpets out of their ass. He did it. He got to full draw. So these are the moments that you guys live for, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And that we all live for. If it was easy, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Ted, are you hunting exclusively on your ranches in Kansas and Michigan at this point? Or do you do other, Texas and Michigan? Or are you doing other, like, quote unquote, free range? Those are both fenced ranches, correct? That's what you said?
No, Michigan, 1,200 acres, no fences. No fences, all free range, spooky maniac. Now, we do have a game preserve in Michigan where we host these hunts for these terminally ill kids, and we have our hog hunts every year.
Okay.
And those deer are under high fence. And those deer are more relaxed because they're dealing with hog hunters all the time and burping and farting and sneezing and dropping stuff and wearing aqua velva. That's like the Texas, South Texas ranches. Those guys, they smell like a French whore when they drive their pickup out there and drive. It's just hysterical. But no, I do 80% of my hunting on free range Michigan swampland. And even here in Texas, I have property along the North Bosque where those are free range deer. And here's I hunt every day, gentlemen. Hunt. Can you hear the birds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can.
I hunt. Hear them?
Yeah.
I hunt every day. I scout every day. I have all my life. Even when I was on tour, I always had my bow and arrow with me, and somebody had a backyard with squirrels, I'd shoot one. And so I know the difference between maniac, spooky, alert deer and deer that are relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
The deer on the outside of my high fence are dramatically easier to kill with my bow than the deer on the ranch. Interesting. I don't know why that is, because I use the wind and the sun. I chum. I use a bait, and I use it's a mad science world of this custom bait. I have this Whitetail products gone wild. They got the blocks and they got the minerals and they got these combination. These guys are like mad scientists in the dungeon creating these super nutritious, digestible, protein enriched supplemental feeds. And I use all that stuff. And I got food plots everywhere, including on the outside, all over my open ground. Yeah. Deer on the open ground are dramatically easier to kill. They're not easy, but compared to the high fence deer, these high fence deer are maniacs. I don't know what it is. I have to park my Polaris and Can-Am at least a mile from the stand I want to go to. And I got bad legs, so that's quite a walk for me, especially with the camera and the bag and the bow and all that shit. But if I park any closer than a mile from my stand, I will not see anything. And on our 300 acres, we have 26 oryx. We have about 20 aoudad. We have about 25 black buck. We have probably 20 fallow deer, probably 15 axis. We probably got 60 whitetails. And I hunted last night. It was cold. It was down in the 50s. Perfect north wind. I chummed a spot for a north wind where my ladders are completely enveloped in cover. Everything's perfect. I know how to do it perfect. I got this thing down perfect. Never saw an animal. Where were all those animals? And the wind was in my face. I came in a sneaky way. I know what I'm doing here. So the canned hunt, I've been on canned hunts where it's a breeding operation and the deer have been raised by people.
Sure. Yeah.
And they let me shoot some bonsai GMO deer, which they invite me. I go, yeah, I'd like to try that.
Sure.
But I don't pursue that.
Right.
I'd rather be challenged. If I wanted to kill shit, I certainly wouldn't use a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even use a gun. I'd start a chicken operation. Then I could really kill some shit. Yeah. So the people that are critics of mine, they're idiots. They're incapable of debating me. They're scared of me. They know I'm smarter than they are. They know I'm a better hunter than they are, and they just can't stand themselves. So to all you critics out there, eat fuck.
Ted, there is a difference, right? Like you would even say there's a difference from a management perspective. Like animals inside of a fence need to be treated differently from a management perspective than animals who are free ranging and have exposure
No, Jared, let me stop you. No, it's habitat, carrying capacity, supplemental feeding.
Pressure is the difference.
Population dynamics and predator control. No, it's just a microcosm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, get to these breeding operations.
Protected though, right? A protected microcosm. It's protected from outside pressure. That is the difference.
But the pressures is real. Now, on my 300 acres, I got hunters coming, and they hunt every day, and they oftentimes never see an animal on 300 acres. But my habitat is so diverse. We got pecan groves, and we got cedar thickets, and we got river bottom and marshy areas. We got a Serengeti hayfield. We got a mesquite jungle. We got such diverse habitat. Now, I'm sure there are some places, like some of these Texas ranchers knocked down all their cedar, and then when that freeze came a couple of years ago, all their exotics died because they didn't have any thermal cover. The guitar player knows better than these guys. So it X ground. Have you ever hunted in Newark, New Jersey?
I haven't.
They can't live in the shopping center. They can't live downtown. They can't live on the highway. So you got, even in Illinois, all over, even Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Right. You're the biggest buck ever killed in Pennsylvania in the city limits of Philadelphia.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I know these things. So be very careful that vast open ground, when I hunt the Uncompahgre National Forest on September 10th, 1975, with my bear recurve, and I got it mounted in my barn in Michigan. I got a 28.5-inch 5x5 in full velvet. We picked the ridge. We picked the ridge where the animals were. We picked the wind where we could approach the ridge. So how many acres can you hunt with the bow? So be very careful. X ground supports X life, and it all has borders. They're not going to live in the parking lot of the school. They're not going to live next to the business. They will live in your cul-de-sac. I mean, Pennsylvania is notorious for bears hibernating in cul-de-sacs.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Right under their swing set. So wildlife is incredibly adaptable, and we have more coyotes. They live downtown. You guys know that.
Oh, yeah.
Have more. They'll live downtown. Bears are being killed in downtown Naples by Lamborghinis.
Ted, you live in both worlds, though, right? So, like in Texas,
absolutely,
those deer are not getting killed by your neighbors, correct?
Not on a high fence, they're not. They better not.
Right, exactly. But your farm in Michigan, those deer do, and may and probably do get killed by neighbors from time to time.
Oh
correct?
yeah, in fact, I got some real heartbreaking stories. Old Rick Johnson shot my non-typical last year, and he had a bear razor head sliced right under the brisket. Very heartbreaking. But I'm smiling as I'm telling you the story.
Yeah.
But no, pressure is pressure. And remember, Shemaine and I hunt all year.
Yep.
We sell hunts. We got hunters in all the time.
Okay.
We have farming activity. So what we have on our high fence is the same that we have on our no fence. And yes, they can escape beyond the fence on the no fence area, but they don't, do they? They keep coming back to the same prime habitat, don't they? All these guys but the trail camera phenomenon, I love that. But I still boots on the ground do all my scouting. But I have these wise eye cameras that send them right to my phone. It's just it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But these deer, yes, I shot a deer. Actually, I saw it on my trail camera during the rut in 1999. And I identified it as a 155. I mean, at night, under the spotlights of my cabin, I went, "Wow, it's a big deer! Look at that big deer!" And tomorrow morning's opening day. Well, a guy killed him 6 miles away. Yep. Overnight, he went 6 miles. Well, obviously, the deer on a high fence aren't going to be able to do that. Sure. Mm-hmm. But they will evade. They can evade you anyway. It doesn't matter whether they evade you miles away or hundreds of yards away. So my point is that I love to hunt. I love the challenge, which is why I bow hunt. I love to know my relationship with God's miracle. I want to make the definitive statement. My name is Ted Nugent. I hunt the way it makes me happy. Mm-hmm. And if it was too easy, I wouldn't be happy. I like to get skunked, not really, but it part of the equation that brings out that unbelievable celebration when you finally can get the full draw on a deer looking the other way. Yeah. I get the satisfaction hunting my high fence as I did on that September 10th, 1975 with my recurve on the Uncompahgre on the western slope of Colorado. So that statement, how dare someone judge that happiness based on their lack of experience or preferred experience? Here's what you need to do. I got life dicked. I pursue happiness, and I'm happy. Now, if it wasn't a challenge, I would find something that is a challenge. Right. So whether it's high fence or low fence, it's challenging. It's exciting. You get skunked. Everything that happens on my high fence happens on my eternal Manistee National Forest ground. But we put in food plots, and we put in bait stations, DNR, and we put in Whitetail Products Gone Wild blocks, DNR. We put out buck muffins, DNR, because you have no authority over where a free American throws stuff. Nobody has authority over any American where I might drop a sugar beet. Sugar beets are not in your purview of authority, you dirt bags.
Yeah. Ted, I don't think we honestly would debate or challenge you on, I think
that would be wise.
The difficulty of killing deer or the enjoyment that brings you. If people want to do that inside or outside of a fence, I think we're totally fine with that. From a management,
well, that's awfully kind of you.
Yeah. Well, and not that it matters to you.
I know you're
how
sincere.
we feel.
I know you're sincere, but why would that be a judgment call?
Well,
because if you don't like it, then don't do it. I don't like Britney Spears, so I don't listen to her music.
Right. Well, I think it's the perception of what you said before, whereas you have some of these canned hunts that are run by breeders. And it's not necessarily how people see it.
I'm not even trying to open that. There's no judgment around how you're hunting, how anybody's doing their hunting.
There is judgment, for me, though. Not from us. I'm just saying in general.
But we're all aware of what that judgment is.
Here's some advice. I know you respect your elders. Here's some good advice. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck them. I went to the Sudan in 1978 with my Browning 7 mag and my bow. I killed 2 Cape buffalo with my bow. I killed 21 dick. Beautiful little antelope. I killed 21 dick, which, by the way, describes country music where I come from. Dicks. The point is that who can't see a roan antelope, phenomenal trophy, and being a Michigan deer hunter, when I saw the guy went, "That is a roan. That is a superb trophy. That is the trophy of a lifetime. I go, okay, I'll go kill him. I got out of the truck, worked behind the bush like a Michigan bow hunter, got the wind in my face, and came out, and he was stood there 200 yards. I took the safety off and killed him. Who can't walk up to an impala in Zimbabwe and shoot him with a rifle? Who can't? And I'm not criticizing it at all. I think it's awesome. I had the time of my life. I got a DeFaso waterbuck, a Lord Derby eland. I got a lion. I got a lesser kudu. I got a white-eared cob, and I got Grant's gazelles by the dozens. It's how it works. You watch these TV shows, and I walked right up. Well, you can walk up on zebra. I mean, they don't even start running off till you're within 200 yards. Who can't kill a zebra with a 400 Rigby at 200? So my point is everybody take a deep breath. And I do, believe it or not, every once in a while. Everybody take a deep breath. Wildlife does what it does. Mm-hmm. We need to harvest the surplus on a moral obligation.
Yep.
Go for it. Now, let's go to another point that you're getting at. The condemnation, and I don't condemn it. I don't support it. But these breeding operations where these, and I'm fighting to keep it legal because it's about freedom and choice. These 400-inch freak.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, that poor animal. Why did you do that to that animal? And then it comes walking out like a drunk hippie.
Yeah.
But if you want that animal on the wall of your office, I know when you go to bed at night, you're not really proud of that.
No.
Well, you don't really.
You don't think so?
You can't possibly think you accomplished anything.
You don't think so?
No.
Really?
A 400-inch whitetail that's drunk and you shot him with your...
Jeremy and I were talking about this morning. I agree. It's hard for us to understand that.
There are people that
are people who at least
And you know what? You know what I say to those people? Have a nice day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
great.
What can you say to them? There's nothing you can't say. You're like, okay.
Yeah, they think that's great
Have
what
a nice
they did.
day. I mean, I killed my first moose in Alaska in '77 with my 85-pound Jennings Super T, my first compound, in September, late September '77 with George Fairber. And I killed a big black bear, and I killed a beautiful 390 caribou with my 44 Magnum. So I've been there and done that. And a lot of people watch our Spirit of the Wild TV show, which, by the way, thank you. Oh, yes, the dogs love me. Thank you for your support. Shemaine and I are so proud of what we do on Ted Nugent's Spirit of the Wild for 37 years.
We were just singing the theme song before you came on.
Yeah, it's a great song. It represents the soundtrack to our emotion when we leave the pavement with bow or gun in hand. I know it does. I get these emotional love fests from people every day, everywhere. Thank you, everybody. But what you see us do, I wish I had a camera when I shot that beautiful mule deer bouncing over the ridge at 30 yards with my recurve right through the heart. I wish I had footage of my Alaskan hunt in '77, my African hunt in '78. I wish I had footage, but nowadays, I scouted this morning already. I did the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire podcast on Real America Voice already. I've already killed 2 raccoons. I reset the traps. I signed 20 guitars for charities. I've raised over $30 million for charities just by signing stuff. I mean, I'm like Mother Teresa with a couple of Glocks. So my point is that when you see me on TV, there I am on Spirit of the Wild TV on the Pursuit Channel 8 times a week. Well, he's in a tree. He's got a bow and arrow, and there's some Whitetail Products Going Wild supplement down there. And he's got the wind in his face and the sun at his back, and he's smiling, and he's talking about conservation and thanking God for this miracle that we participate in that is so stimulating and rewarding. I'm saying all the important stuff, the most important stuff, and I kill a deer with a really good arrow. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm not going on a mountain. Gentlemen, I'm crazier than you think I am. I was offered a private jet to Tanzania with a free big 6 hunt.
Wow.
No charge. And I said, no thanks. I'm not leaving home. I'm going to climb a tree right here. If I get skunked or I shoot a woodchuck, I'd be happier coming back home than if I went to Tanzania in a private jet and if somebody gave me $1 million safari. So my battle cry, I actually drink Warpath coffee. I'm on a warpath for choice.
Yeah.
What makes you happy?
Yeah.
Do that. And whatever makes someone happy, support that. It's that simple.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Hoyt.
Another year with Hoyt bows. I'm still in the aluminum. I'm shooting the AX3 this year. You're in the carbon.
RX10.
And again, man, Hoyt has just been so reliable for us year after year. Why would we go anywhere else?
Dude, I swear, they just keep making them better. You know, refining that Redworks model. And we had the honor and the privilege of getting these bows early this past season. So I think it was early November we got them in hand. Literally took it straight to the field, and I shot all 3 of my bucks last year with this RX10, and couldn't have been any happier with how it performed.
And they also keep getting simpler for us. This year we've got the XTS system from a tuning side, just a couple turns with the Allen wrench and shooting bullet holes through paper.
Get serious, get Hoyt. Ted, what do you think about just game laws in general? Like, do you think they're necessary? Do you think that they have potential for positive impact from a management, from a conservation standpoint?
That's a great question, Jared, because obviously wildlife should be managed in the asset column, which it's not.
We agree.
For optimal family hours of recreation, so that there's a value, so that we support game department that's supposed to manage that resource for utility in the asset column.
We agree.
That statement just has been violated, unfortunately. Yeah. So here's what my son said. We got to meet my son, Toby. You should have Toby on. He's so good.
I've talked to Toby several times, just back and forth and online. He was working on products and stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a trophy hunter. He just, thank God I shoot 50 does a year on the swamp, because we'd be out of venison if it was up to him, because it's got to be 6 years old, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You got Mr. Whack 'em and stack 'em, and you got Mr. Nutcase trophy guy over here that passes up a 150-inch 3-year-old. Oh, yeah. I would shoot buck so fast.
We all have dads. We know how it goes.
Jared, number one, a salute to you guys, because you guys think. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I examine evidence in real world conditions, and I make judgment calls so that I will do the right thing. My son Toby posed that question just the other day, Jared. He said, Dad, we're fighting these DNR idiots. I bet you if we didn't have any game laws in Michigan, nothing would change. Because some guys just aren't going to hunt very much. Some guys are opening days and peak of the rut hunters. They get a deer, they're done.
It's true.
I believe that in Michigan, and this is probably applicable nationwide in the areas based on population considerations. In Michigan, the entire southeast, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb County, which is just slaughtered deer on the highways to tears of blood, pain in the ass. Washtenaw County, Ann Arbor, which they're hiring sharpshooters.
Yep.
Oh, how offensive. In the number one bow hunting state, you're going to take our tax dollars and hire guys to shoot our... It should be, you should buy a hunting license.
Yep.
And as you buy that hunting license, you should be able to hunt. And I want to know where they're spending all those millions of dollars that we just paid for our hunting licenses. I promise you, 90% of it is illegal and immoral. My point is, in those high-density deer areas, instead of giving farmers all these permits, and I get them, I get to do crop damage, but I won't shoot a lactating doe.
Yeah.
I like to whack them and stack them, but I'm not orphaning that fawn because it'll take 2 weeks for it to starve to death. I won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But they want me to. But come September 1st, when those fawns are independent, those agriculture permits will go good. So immorality is the law. Morality is against the law.
Yeah.
So my point is, Toby said, what if we just got rid? I think that it should be no bag limit, no tags in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb County, probably Washtenaw, maybe Lenawee, maybe even Jackson. We got Ella Sharp Park Jackson, Michigan. I think there's more bow hunting licenses in Jackson County, Michigan than anywhere in the world. And they're hiring sharpshooters to kill the deer in Ella Sharp Park. You rotten monsters. Instead of just opening the bow season, September 1 to March 1, no bag limit, no tags. Why not? Instead, you're going to hire guys to shoot them anyway.
Let me ask you this, Ted. Are they meeting the existing quota, whatever that is?
No, I assume not. Probably because they're not able to.
Why are they not able to? Why not?
Season limits, access probably is a big one.
Okay, but you can't regulate access. I mean, maybe in certain scenarios. Why are they not meeting the existing quota? What is opening it going to do?
Well, it's no hunting allowed in Ella Sharp Park and all the surrounding Summit.
Okay, so they're not allowed to hunt there. That's what it is.
But they're going to sharpshoot in there.
Phenomenal habitat, and these trucks are killing 160 and 3-year-olds.
Yeah,
and not that 160 means anything to me.
Yeah.
Because I shoot so many does every year, which is so much fun. I know I get more excited on a good arrow on a doe fawn than these guys do where they walk up to 150 and go, well, it didn't hold the mass off. I'd like to punch that son of a bitch right in the throat. Would you please kneel down and hold that deer in your hands and do not find fault with that deer.
Yeah. Well, Ted,
that deer is sacred, and you're belittling it because it didn't hold enough mass. I'd like to hire Mike Tyson to hit you in the jaw with a right hook. Yeah. The point being, I'm such a violent guy. The point being is that trophy hunting is for the trophy hunters. My son Toby is so disciplined. I don't know how he passes up these beautiful deer every year. He's waiting for the beast. There's a 180 that showed up on trail camera one day, and he ain't shooting anything till he. So God bless him, and God bless everybody that does that, because that's the ultimate patience, the ultimate discipline, the ultimate choice for them. But I like shooting lots of does, and if a 2.5-year-old, I probably won't shoot it. And I know how to judge them by age, based on forehead and brisket and belly, and I've got that down pretty good. I've been really accurate over the years with shooting a deer, guessing its age, and confirming it based on tooth examination, etc. In the old days, let me summarize it this way. On my wall, on my family cabin in the Manistee National Forest of northern Michigan, is a mounted button buck. I got with my dad's pre-64 Model 7308 iron sights that he got from Marshall Fields in Chicago for $119 in 1964. I shot him with some Remington Corlock 180 grains that I got from Ruth Corner on Free Soil Road for $5.95, 20 rounds for $5.95, wearing my Uncle John's black and red wool-ridged hunting outfit. And I had a doe tag, and I thought it was a doe. It was the biggest deer in the 5-deer group that came through the Manistee National Forest. I mounted it. It's a button buck. And when I went to the taxidermist, he said, "You're going to mount this?" I go, "Yeah, it's a buck. Feel. You can feel his antlers." Next to it, that was November 15th, 1968, opening day. And then the next year, I shot a doe fawn with my Bear recurve, and that's mounted right next to it. Who could possibly think they have the judgment capabilities to tell Ted Nugent what a trophy might be? I have a button buck and a doe fawn because the memories are seared. I could cry for you guys right now. The emotion is so powerful that I finally got a deer with my gun and my bow in 68 and 69. And how could I not mount this magnificent, beautiful animal? And every time, even as I'm talking about it, I know which way the wind was blowing. I remember the sound of me taking the safety off, which is why I don't use my thumb anymore. I use my fingers. You with me? You follow me on this?
Oh, yeah.
I have such a definitive, complete, powerful relationship with my reasoning predator duties, joys, and lifestyle that any critic of Ted Nugent is a cheap, petty goofball, because these are my choices, and my choices are good. They're good for the resource. They're good for my heart. They're good for my grill. They're good for the land. Anybody want to debate me, call 1-800-NUMBNUT.
Well, I mean, I think at one point in time, Ted, there was an easy way for, let's say, somebody like a Toby who wants to hold out for the trophy animal and pass everything up, and the guy who just wants to go out on November 15th, kill the first deer he sees opening day, and put venison in the freezer. do you think that as we've kind of privatized more land, even in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and stuff, although we've lost more hunters per what they say, that balance can still exist without regulation?
I believe it would be better without the current regulations. I think the current antler point restriction, I know all about Gary Holt in Pennsylvania, has to have 4 points aside, but 4 points aside doesn't mean anything. In Texas, it's got to be 13 inches wide. Hey, Texas Parks and Wildlife, you might want to write this down. 13-inch antler spread has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with genetics. It might have something to do with rainfall. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep, in Texas for sure.
But the big grenade up your ass is, who the hell do you think you are telling somebody what their trophy looks like? And here's, you want to poop your pants. So in Texas, these people are so insane. It's got to be 13 inches wide until the spike season opens. Because if 13-inch means anything, you can't have a spike season. And if you have a spike season, you just admitted that 13 inches doesn't mean anything. Meanwhile, the Lake Waco deer herd is slaughtered on the highways every day.
There's a spike season? This is in Texas?
Yes, they're insane.
Well, because they think that spikes are genetically inferior, and by killing them,
they know that not. It's been proven that a spike
is proven
in 5 years,
over and over again.
They know this. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're dumber than I'm giving them credit for. Maybe they're that dumb. Hey, Texas Parks and Wildlife, are you that dumb?
That blows my mind.
Texas was the one who did the research.
In
Texas did the research. It said, let's follow these spikes. And several of them made Boone and Crockett animals at 5 and 6 years old.
The guitar player knows it, but the people in charge. By the way, you know who's in charge of deer hunting regulations in Texas? A man named I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. A goofball named HUNTR Reed, who has a rainbow flag on his website. And you know what a rainbow flag represents? Fat perverted men in pantyhose singing "It Won't Lick Itself." I have footage. HUNTR Reed sides with the rainbow flag perverts who are molesting children.
Yeah.
And he's in charge of deer regulations. Come to my ranch, Hunter. I'll teach you a few things about rainbow flags, you pervert.
Ted, here's something I want to try to understand or tease out from, because I'm intrigued by the idea of no regulations. Like the root of my question was,
I'm interested too. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Our law, do they matter or not? Because we're somewhere in the middle where we have them, obviously, and they're being
we'll stick on the buck harvest.
Well, no, what I want to understand is we are failing nationwide. We've talked to people from almost every state at this point, hunters, people in the DNR and all this kind of stuff. Everybody seems to agree that we are failing to kill enough deer, specifically does.
The DNR is saying that.
The DNR is saying that. In a lot of cases,
and the highways are saying that.
The highways are saying
farmers are saying
that. The people who live with deer are saying that.
Even hunter surveys are saying. We all agree, yes, there's too many deer. Why are you so passionate about shooting deer and you love it so much, and yet the rest of the country seems to be avoiding it, failing at it, not enjoying it anymore? What's happening there?
Well, I'm your elder, so I can wax poetic on that point of fascination. We're not equal. I can't dribble like Michael Jordan, and he can kill deer with a sharp stick like I can. We're all different. And there's not many maniac hunters like me. I mean, when opening day, in fact, I don't even wait for opening day. I can hunt deer on my high fence in Michigan anytime I want. So I start like I should on September 1st when the fawns are independent.
Well, don't you think, Ted, the rest of us have been disincentivized in a way that you clearly have not been? And why is that?
Well, it's you are holding value. You just said it. You get that happy feeling of putting a perfect arrow through a doe. I would say that, and again, this is just broad numbers, most deer hunters today have no desire to shoot a doe.
It exists. It's there. It's in our DNA, but we've pushed it aside for some reason. It's because we want to shoot a buck or because it's too easy. We're bored with it. They have CWD.
Something.
What is it?
I don't agree, Jeremy. I think I think most hunters want to shoot a deer. I think
Okay.
on opening day they've been waiting all year. And
A deer, I would agree. But you think they're doe?
most.
You think they'd be okay shooting a doe?
I really believe that.
I hope so.
Now, there is an emphasis. I see the public relations of trophy buck desirability, and that is a reality. And if that's your pursuit of happiness, then by all means pursue. But we're all different. I like ambushing a deer because it's so difficult. My deer are so smart. If I can get to full draw, I'm a happy guy. Now, make a point, because I hunt every day. I hunt every day.
Yeah.
That does make you a rarity too, Ted. Most people don't like doing hard shit. That makes you a minority.
We become soft. We become soft, and hunting is hard. Scouting is hard. Dragging that stand into the forest is hard. Getting that deer out of the swamp is hard. And boy, I could tell you stories where I literally, and as much as I am just obsessed with deer hunting, there's been times dragging that deer out of the fen up to my balls in black muck, going, damn, I'm not gonna ever do this again. This hurts. Yeah. I literally in my fen, it's notorious for quicksand. I went into a bottomless hole of quicksand one year, just a few years ago, in my fen, dragging out this big doe that I had a beautiful arrow on, and I had this old Glenn's deer handle, basically like a water skiing, and I'm pulling it, and I all of a sudden stepped. It's midnight. It wasn't quite midnight. I got out at midnight. It was probably 10 o'clock at night after tracking this doe. It's just and I'm so happy, and I'm sweating up a storm, and I'm all covered in goo, and my boots went under the muck, and my feet are all full of water, and I'm laughing, going, who would want to do this? This is ridiculous. I'm laughing, and my legs, I have 2 new knees, and my legs were so horribly painful, and my back was killing me, and I'd already tried to text Toby and Jim to come help me, but I didn't have a signal in the fen. So I'm dragging this big old donkey, and I'm laughing, going, why are you doing this, Ted? What are you doing? I was in horrible pain, and I'm cold and nasty and sweating up a storm, and I'm pulling, all of a sudden, my foot went into this hole, and I'm going down. And my other leg went into it because I don't have any strength in my leg, and I'm going down. I let go of that deer. I go, this is quicksand. And I had my hearing aids in, and I reached back to we have these reeds and these, the alders, all the thick alders.
Yeah, alders.
Back to the alder, and I'm hanging onto the alders, and I'm going down. And I can hear this.
Yep.
I'm going in. And I'm going, oh, you stupid you're going to go bow hunting and die. You're going to die. You're going you're going to die tonight, you stupid son of a. So my happiness and my joy turned into sheer terror. And I remember, because I'm pulling this way to stop the suction. And I know I wasn't supposed to squirm, because that enhances the suction.
Sucks you down.
We saw the Princess
so
Bride.
I'm scared. I'm literally, now I'm calling upon all my wisdom to go, okay, how do you not die in quicksand? Well, you stop moving, and I stop sinking. And I'd reach back with another alder root branch, and I'd pull, and I'm not very strong anymore.
Please hold on, little root. Do not let go. Do not pull out of the ground.
My hearing aids, somehow they got snagged by all this pucker brush and pulling my hearing aids out. And I'm going, all right, Ted, we're gonna live to hunt another day. Though I might not want to hunt another day. If it kills me. So my point is that an hour later, I had extracted myself from the quicksand, but I was so scared of where the next quicksand muck was going to be. I left the doe there. We came back the next day and got it. But my point is there's not many guys like me.
No.
In fact, how about this? There's no other guys like me. I mean, there's a Chuck Adams of the world who may be the greatest bow hunter that ever lived.
Yeah.
You got Fred Eichler, maybe certainly one of the greatest bow hunters that ever lived. Ed Bilderback, who I spent time with, who was behind that rock on Wide Bay with Fred Bear when he shot the world record brown bear. Ed Bilderback was a dear friend of mine, and I got to hang around with him. Fred Bear said Ed Bilderback was the greatest hunter, the natural killer he'd ever met in his life. He could outshoot Fred Bear within 3 arrows. The first 3 arrows of Ed Bilderback's life was outshooting Fred Bear.
Jeez.
He was such a savant, and I'm not. I'm a little too uppity. I may have noticed this. So my point is that I think if we got rid of the regulations, now I'm examining this. I'm not conclusively recommending it. I'm examining the idea.
It's the whole point of this podcast is examine the idea.
There aren't enough Ted Nugents to actually hurt the deer. And by the way, I wouldn't hurt the deer herd. I pass up, I'm not exaggerating, guys. I pass up more than 100 shots on bucks every year because I know I'm going to hunt another day and I've already killed a bunch of does. So I'm going to wait for something with a little bit of headgear. I mean, I'm not waiting for record book stuff, but something that I like, maybe I like chesty. I like a brisket and a big chest. I've shot some 8-year-old deers in my swamp. I mean, just rotund 300-pound Saskatchewan monsters in southern Michigan because they're smart, and all my neighbors have a kind of an age approach. They don't shoot young bucks anymore, which is awesome because now we're talking of thousands of acres where people adhere to it. Now, if the grandson wants to shoot the spike, shoot the damn spike.
Yep.
If the grandson wants to shoot a button buck, shoot the button buck.
Yep.
But mostly it's really managed for age, and with all the does I shoot, it's a really good buck-doe ratio. So if we dropped all regulations and got these tax-thieving bureaucrats out of the picture, and we demanded just a core army of science-based enhancement for the deer season. You don't start when the fawns are dependent, and you don't go into the winter yarding areas in those regions. I mean, again, doesn't it sound like I know what I'm talking about?
It does.
I do know what I'm talking about. And if a guy wants to shoot X deer, and the regulations are gone, I think it would encourage more people to shoot more does without buying those tags and without having to report it and getting in trouble for not reporting it and having to bone out the deer when you cross border. That's so dishonest.
That's a huge one right now.
Dream mule deer confiscated because they didn't bone the meat out coming back from Wyoming. That game warden should just be ashamed of himself.
That's why most non-residents won't shoot a doe, because if they're having to go back home, they're not going to put the carcass in. Even if they process their own deer, they don't have time to do it in the other state. They don't want to drop it off.
Jeremy, I mean, Dan Schmidt, when he came to my Michigan swamp, he shot the first deer with it. So,
Dan's a different breed.
And so did Kip Campbell. Kip Campbell, one of the greatest hunters in the world. Great guy, wonderful guy. One of the greatest representatives of the spirit of our conservation lifestyle.
We've never met him. That's Red Arrow, Kip Campbell? Yeah, we've never met him.
Have you had him on?
Not yet.
Oh, you got it. He's so good. There's so many great guys out there. But he came and he shot a doe. In fact, he shot a button buck. I was going to spank him, but whatever.
Knock the milk right off the lips.
Property. It's just insane. But that, again, let me comment on numbers. My habitat in Michigan is literally a gift from God. I mean, from glacier-cut ridges to swamps and marshes and fens and rivers and muck and duck holes and impenetrable thickets. My whole property in Michigan is sanctuary feed. It's all sanctuary and feed. So I have unlimited doe tags on my property, but I don't shoot 200. I stop at around 40 or 50. And even though every time I've stopped shooting does, because I don't know if it's the pressure or the continuing of the season and the increase of hunting pressure around the borderline, but I always go, I'm not seeing as many does as I normally do, even though I pass them up every day. So I go, I tell Toby, I'm not going to shoot any more does. So then I come back to Texas in December, and Toby calls and go, you should have shot more does. They're everywhere. So even a guy who lives with the deer, doesn't have a definitive grasp on the population. Now compare the guy that lives with the deer every day. I scout every day, I feed every day, I work the ground every day, I run trap lines every day. If I don't know what the real population is, then how can that punk ass brainwashed graduate with the biology degree in downtown Lansing or Austin on a computer screen, how can he possibly think he knows?
Yeah, well, that has been the problem for a long time now. It's because they're trying to manage what they believe is population numbers at a landscape level. And reality
in Michigan,
is,
they don't even know how many they kill. They don't even check them in Michigan anymore.
The reality is the only way to effectively manage wildlife is at the property level. What is happening on your property? What is happening on your neighbor's property? What is happening on your other neighbor's property? That's how you manage. If none of you kill does for the next 10 years, you will have an overpopulation of deer. That's a fact.
Yep. Like here in Texas, I hunt some property, open ground south of Waco here. Great agriculture, cattle farms. Texas Parks and Wildlife just pulls it out of their ass and shuts down the doe season a month in advance, where these properties, it's thousands of acres under a family control. I'll see 100 deer from the time I get in the gate to the time a mile and a half away to my stand. And some guy in Austin decided to just stop the doe season. He can't grow any crops. It is so glaring, obviously overpopulated. It's been a $2 county for 30 years. They've never walked that ground, but it's a $2 county. But across 35, it's a $3 county. How, on what bulbous ass did they pull that guesswork? That's all guesswork. These people need to kill more does on this Bell County property, and they shut the doe season down.
Yeah.
Or a guy will shoot a deer that doesn't measure 13 inches. He's going to leave it.
Yeah, he's going to just leave it rot.
Or the one guy that got it, the guy that lost his hunting rights, those are rights, those aren't privileges. I don't care what anybody says. I have a moral obligation to hunt. I have a conservation duty to hunt, not just for my diet, but for balance and environmentalism. So he, instead of cutting the date out, he used a magic marker. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Game Warden, that tag is to convey information. That he blocked out that date was the information that the tag was created for. They took his fucking deer. They took his gun. They won't allow him to hunt because he didn't cut the... What a prick. If you want to know what a prick looks like, that's him. So, game wardens, I love you guys. Game wardens, if you're watching this HUNTR with Jeremy and Jared and Ted Nugent, I love you guys. Think. Would you please think? You can't enforce stupid laws about whether the tag is cut out or whether it's wrapped around the antler with adhesive or it's tied on with a piece of string. You got to be kidding me. Or the kid who was, I could give you 100 examples of heartbreak, where a kid was hunting an apple orchard in Michigan. He's in an apple orchard. There's deer in apple orchards. He had a deer hunt license. But there weren't any apples under his apple tree in the apple orchard, so we kicked some apples closer, and the game warden saw him and gave him a ticket for hunting over bait.
Jeez.
In an apple orchard. This kid was so distraught. A little girl killed a turkey, and the shot pattern hit a hen behind it, the gobbler. Mm-hmm. So he and her dad called the game warden. Instead of the game warden goes, well, thank you for calling me, young lady. Here's a special piece of paper so you can have that extra hen. Thank you for calling. He took both turkeys and gave her a ticket. What a prick. So all you game wardens, now the Yellowstone wardens and the ones out west are good, but the guy in Maine, the Northwoods Law, who said, somebody said you're hunting in your apple orchard here. And he goes, yeah, I got a deer license, I'm hunting. He goes, well, that's immoral. That's unethical. It's unethical to hunt a deer in an apple orchard? A game warden actually believes this? What a prick. Crazy. So all you game wardens out there, you know the only good game warden? The good, conscientious, moral game wardens who blow the whistle on your asshole buddies. In law enforcement, military, and government, the only good people are whistleblowers. And when someone gives a little girl a ticket for hitting the hen and calling it in, you should scold the shit out of that prick and tell him to realign his moral compass, and he should have thanked the little girl for calling him and help her breast it.
Yeah. Well, and there's a great point.
Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what is deterring. That right there deters youth from ever wanting to do it again. Yeah.
She was shattered.
Why would she ever want to go back out and experience that?
Here's another one. So a little girl, a 12-year-old girl, was hunting grouse in northern Michigan. Her dad had a Bronco. That's why they contacted me. I love our Broncos. We're Bronco maniacs.
Mm-hmm.
And she had gumbo mutters with the deep treads. So they got out of the woods hunting grouse, and she emptied her shotgun and leaned it up in the treads, which is the perfect gun rack, by the way.
Yeah.
That's perfect. It's secure. It's safe. It's unloaded. Game warden came by, and they actually said that that's a felony because it's a firearm out of a case in a motor vehicle. He said that.
It's unloaded.
And gave her a ticket for having a gun in a vehicle. It wasn't in a vehicle. It was leaning up against the tire.
Nuts.
Wonder why I'm angry like this? Because these people call me with their heart broke. They call Uncle Ted. I hear from these people all the time because they know I will raise hell. And that's the missing link.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Gateway One Boots.
Yeah, man. Dude, boots and just footwear in general are just such a big part of the overall system. You know, when you talk about apparel from bows to tree stands to the boots are the one piece that always goes on top of the bin. And it's a big deal, something we haven't talked a lot about until we've landed on a boot that we really are enjoying.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I both are rubber boot type of guys when it comes down to our bow hunting side of things. And as we think about it, there are some concepts around the boots that we want. We want an athletic fit, which is kind of weird to discuss when you're talking about boots. We don't want it just big and floppy.
Hugs the toes.
Exactly. We want to be able to have a good all-season boot, but also a warm boot when
Keeps
it counts.
the toes warm.
And we need good grip on the bottom so we're not slopping around and sliding around in the mud.
Keeps the toes moving.
There you go. And so Gateway One Boots covers all of those things. They have features that focus on all of those. From the woodwalker to the pro shooter when we're talking about that one that's going down to the negative 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And ultimately just an overall boot that's going to perform throughout the entire hunting season for ourselves.
That's right. We've been wearing them for a couple months, and we just can't be happier with all those aspects that you just ran through. And so if you're looking to get into a pair, you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, on the Gateway One Boots-USA.com website. I know that's kind of a mouthful. If you Google Gateway One Boots, you can use our promo code there for a discount.
Tough by nature.
Ted, talk to us about HUNTR Nation, if you would. That's an organization?
Raising hell, yeah.
Yeah, we've heard about it. You guys are involved in, especially here in Pennsylvania. You guys are
Sunday hunting.
Big part of the Sunday hunting thing. Can you tell us about that organization and what you guys are doing?
Well, Keith Mark created it when we talked with the then candidate President Trump in 2015 when he came down the escalator. We knew that he was an outsider and we needed an outsider in American government desperately. And we were talking, he knew that we were hunters. His sons, Eric and Don Jr., are big hunters. Why they don't get more involved, I can't imagine. And if they're listening to this right now, we're involved. Well, not enough. Anyhow, and we talked to him, and I'm doing a rally in Michigan playing the national anthem, and they used my name to draw a record crowd. Is that adorable? And who do you think that record crowd consisted of? Probably more licensed deer hunters than anywhere else per capita. You know that's true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I said, Mr. Trump, these are Michigan shit kickers, man. These are working hard, playing hard, conservatives, Christians. Most of these are licensed deer hunters because it's a big lifestyle in our state. And if you can really address them, they will come out like a conservative army. And he goes, well, all our research has shown that hunters don't vote. I went, huh? I was shattered. And Keith Mark and I were there together. Keith was an attorney in Kansas.
Yep.
Been a Democrat all his life until he saw the perverts took over. And so we looked at each other, and so we got some people with money, and we bought all the licensed hunters records in Michigan and compared them to their voting record. 64% of Michigan licensed hunters had never registered to vote.
Holy shit.
And I went, oh my God. Then, we did it in Wisconsin. We came up there.
Yep.
60% of Wisconsin deer hunters had never registered. Every state, not one state had 50% of licensed hunters that had ever registered to vote. So Hunter Nation was created, and I've been doing robocalls. We knock on doors, we send out emails and texts, and we go after them. And in the 2024 election, gentlemen, those 7 swing states, look at the guitar player. Look me in the eyes. We did that. We did that. We scolded, begged, beseeched, scolded millions of hunters that had never voted. They voted. And when you get that army of conservatives to vote, you can win anything you want.
Those were the big ones.
Nation, please, everybody go to Safari Club International is not first for hunters. I'm sorry, you can't import polar bear skins, and they're killing them at record numbers. You can't hunt on Sunday in 7 states. Where's SCI? They're nowhere. You can't hunt mourning doves in Michigan, even though we grow more of the #1 game bird in the world than all of pheasant, woodcock, grouse, and quail combined. But you can't hunt. They call them a songbird. You can't vote a pheasant's a songbird. You can't vote a dove's a songbird. You're liars. Where's SCI? I don't know where they are. What are they doing? Well, we got 2 more leopard permits this year. Oh, shut the. So my point is, Hunter Nation is going after one thing and one thing only: Christian, conservative, constitutional conservation votes. Now, we do go after the offensiveness of calling the wolf endangered. The wolf is not endangered. The grizzly bear is not endangered. The polar bear is not endangered. No man can hunt no man can tell a free American he can't hunt on his own farm in November on Sunday. You just can't say that. So Hunter Nation takes on these offensive regulations that are at the core of the attrition in our beloved conservation lifestyle, and getting them to vote God, family, country, freedom. And we send out a questionnaire. By the way, I don't know if I should say this, but we send out a questionnaire to millions of hunters, and we ask them, do you believe in late-term abortions? And do you believe that assault rifles should be banned? If they answer those questions wrong, we don't want them to vote. But 90% answer those questions properly, morally, intelligently, patriotically, and we go after them. So hunternation.org. If this communication, this is a long podcast. If this communication accomplishes anything, it should be that everybody watching who believes that we have a moral, intellectual, spiritual obligation to hands-on conservation wildlife management, i.e. hunting, fishing, and trapping based on population dynamics and the science. If you believe in that, please go to hunternation.org and get everybody at your deer camp, everybody at the gun range, everybody at work and school and church, everybody in your life who believes in God, family, country, law and order, private property rights. Vote. We need to vote in representation. And now with Donald Trump in office, we've actually changed the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Department of the Interior, the Bureau of Land Management, the U.S. Forestry. We've changed them, and we're getting our rights back, but it has to be nationwide, and it's going to take every hunter to vote in representation that represents real conservation, real private property rights, and a real reverence, not just respect for wildlife, a reverence for God's miracle and our duty to be participants in the management thereof. Anybody wants to debate that statement, good luck.
Well, you guys were huge here in Pennsylvania for Sunday hunting. That's why I joined Hunter Nation, is when I saw that you guys were one of the forefronts in that. I was like, well, I'm behind it. To our points earlier, they just told us that although it's now a law, we can't hunt turkeys on Sunday this spring. But next year,
I'm coming to Pennsylvania just to hunt turkeys on Sundays. You gotta be.
Next year, Ted, you can, but we're taking a tag away. You only get 1 tag.
I guess I'm going to have to call Josh.
Like, what do we? Give Joshy a call. Tell him.
I'm not kidding. I'll call him.
That's crazy. It's a law. It is a law. It has been passed. It is a law, and we can't do. It starts Saturday. Today's Thursday. Starts Saturday's opening day. We cannot hunt Sunday.
This is so offensive.
That was a biologist decision, which I disagree with. That was a biologist-made decision that the Game Commission board then supported and passed.
what was his claim to that science?
Thought we'll kill too many toms this year.
I didn't know states listen to their biologists.
That's the only time I've heard it.
That's the first time I've heard that.
That's the first time I've heard it.
Well, 2 points. Number one, everybody go to huntrnation.org and call Josh Shapiro and call your game commission. Tell them how offensive that is, because Sunday hunting for turkeys will not. Ted Nugent is here to decree. You will not kill too many turkeys just because you can hunt on Sunday. That's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Nobody's hunting on Monday. I mean, nobody. I mean, make 8 guys statewide. And here's what you need to do. Call your elected employees, but join Hunter Nation, because we're on top of that. And I am going to call Josh Shapiro, because he, you know what his first phone call was when he legalized this Sunday hunting in Pennsylvania? You know who his first phone call was? Me, because I've been up his ass for years. I've been all over the Game Commission for years, that no man could possibly think, especially in the state where the Liberty Bell resides, that they could possibly dictate what a free American does on Sunday. Anyhow, the point is, let's talk about the core of this false claim by the false biologists. The turkey numbers are down. Now, they're not down dramatically, but turkey numbers nationwide are down. Now, I'm not a biologist or a scientist. I don't know the infrastructure scientifically of the bird flu, but I know that when you don't trap predators, that they devastate ground nests. Now, on my property, we are loaded with turkeys because I kill every varmint that would mess with ground nesting eggs.
Yep.
So what do you guys experience? You're both in Pennsylvania, historical turkey-rich state.
It still is.
Do you, boots on the ground, witness that there are a dramatic reduction in turkey numbers in Pennsylvania?
It's still super high. Now, given trapping has decreased, so that's a huge part of it. If there is an effect, that's number one. I'll put my foil hat on for this one, but we've said it before. I'm a 100% believer that herbicides and insecticides are affecting reproduction in 100%.
And airborne raptors, though, you can't protect avian predators.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
They've destroyed quail and pheasant in Pennsylvania and
grouse.
Everywhere.
We have hardly any rough grouse in this state. Versus 20 years ago, I mean, I was doing studies at Penn State. I was flushing 20 birds a day. Now, hardly ever.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I used to be a grouse woodcock maniac. I would take my Irish setters that were bird vacuums, and I would just have a timber doodle and rough grouse orgy up North Michigan every year. I'd hunt deer in the morning till 10. I'd change my clothes and get a little grub, and I'd unleash those dogs, and I'd hunt the next 6 hours and cover more miles than Lewis and Clark. And I'd shoot woodcock and grouse, and there was a heyday, and that's reference to the poplar buds that have a natural defense system in the aspen, that their buds every 7 years become poisonous to the grouse, and the grouse feed exclusively on those buds during the winter, and every 7 years those they produce a toxic bud, and that's what kills the grouse, along with all the predators and the pesticides and the herbicides and the ground nest destroyers. So here's another point, everybody. Join the National Trappers Association.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I'm not kidding. Trap lines are a riot, and you're doing a great duty to the earth and to the wildlife balance and health and thriving biodiversity. I killed bobcats and red fox and gray fox and coyotes and coons and possums and skunks. And I mean, in Texas, and I don't even know what the laws are in trapping in Michigan, but I could care less.
Well, there you go. That's what I was going to say, Ted. So there's your other call. In almost every state that we own property that I would be trapping 365, I can't, right? My trapping season's October to February. Done.
Yep. That's so stupid. Well, in Michigan, if it's threatening agriculture, which all coons are threatening agriculture, okay?
Yeah.
They're all threatening.
Yes.
All coons, possums, and skunks, all coyotes and fox, they're all threatening agriculture, trap year round. Here, Ted Nugent gives you the decree. Trap all year long. Just trap all year long. Because even when you can trap all year long, do you know how many guys will actually do it?
No, very low.
Maybe 8. I have a guy, Jim Knapp. We have a beaver problem. You know, a lot of guys will go, Ted, we have a coyote problem. I go, that's funny, because where I live, the coyotes have a Ted problem. They tried to stop the coyote season in Michigan, so I made sure I noticed those dates. And on the dates they closed the coyote season, those are the dates I killed coyotes. Well, Nugent's a game law violator. No, the game laws are violator. The game law is a violation. All those game laws, they violate science. You can't have a closed season on coyotes. You just can't do it. And you can't have a closed season on beaver. So I get to call some guy to trap my beaver for me. There's a great song called Can't Trap Beaver, da, da, da. And so I trap beaver all year long. What a great gift to grandchildren. A river otter skin, beaver skin, a nice blue, rich raccoon skin, coyote, bobcat. I've killed 28 bobcats on my ranch here in Texas since I moved here in 2003, whatever it was. I trap all year long, and I will never run out of bobcats.
Well, there you go.
I'll never hurt them.
No bobcat season in the state of Ohio. No bobcat season.
I'll never hurt fox. I'll never hurt mountain lions. It's impossible. They're too clever. There's too many. But on my property, I have balance. I actually buy pheasants and quail, and I have thriving pheasant and quail where there were no pheasants and no quail because I keep a natural science-based balance. And I'm just a guitar player. And if a guitar player can do it, who can't?
Yeah, I agree, man. It's, I hope people listen to this don't get too discouraged, right? Because there is a lot of things that, the average blue collar guy who wants to do all this and looks at it is just like, what can I do about it? I think, to your point, the Hunter Nation thing's a huge part of that from a movement side and contacting their local rep or whoever it might be. But
what can I ask about the Hunter Nation? Can you give us some other specific examples, Ted, besides things that would matter to us or be relevant beyond like the Sunday hunting thing, which is huge? What other initiatives are like at the top of the list for that organization?
Well, Hunter Nation is a 501c3. It's nonprofit. Everybody's volunteering. Keith, Mark, and Rock.
Yep.
The money they've put into it, God bless these people. Because if you want science-based wildlife management or any freedoms, then you need to hammer elected employees and vote in the right one. So Hunter Nation is focused on getting conservative votes for conservative representation. That's number one. But we got Sunday hunting legalized in Pennsylvania, and a lot of other organizations helped. NRA's been on a long time. I give them all credit. I think SCI was involved. I think Turkey and DU. I think everybody. Whitetails Unlimited. I think
Why wouldn't they? It was
sporting organizations. I don't know the names of all the conservation organizations in Pennsylvania, but thank you all. Yeah. Those that were involved, thank you. But Hunter Nation led the charge. And because I have a big mouth and because they know that I can expose abuse of power, even power abusers will acquiesce at some point. And that's what we did in Pennsylvania. But we're focused now on delisting the wolf. It's in the liability column. The wolf is a liability. We want wolves, but we want balanced, healthy, managed wolves. We revere the wolf. What a magnificent creature. The grizzly bear is not endangered. We got CWD is not a threat. So number one, votes. Number 1A, Sunday hunting. Number 1B, the delisting of the wolf. Number 1C, CWD scam defunded. It's a scam. It's a money laundering scam. I think there's a Somalian in charge of the CWD money laundering.
There is, for sure. Yeah.
And the grizzly bear is not endangered. We need to open that season so that people will buy tags in grizzly bear habitat. Yeah. The polar bear, how dare you have a hunting season for a magnificent beast like the polar bear, but then make it immorally illegal to bring back that magnificent skin? SCI, where the hell are you? The Inuits are killing more polar bears than in over 50 years, but they're not getting the revenues because you can't bring this magnificent hide back to America. You can to Canada, you can to Europe. The Europeans get, because it's, how offensive is that? So we got a lot of the CWD thing is a horror story. We're gonna win that. Keith Mark is in Washington. He was just in Washington.
He's in there all the time. Anytime we reach out to him, he's like, "I'm in Washington."
Yes, he's meeting. He's educating U.S. Fish and Wildlife because many of them don't know.
Sure.
The Department of the Interior. How about the lie that there are Mustangs in Nevada? There are no Mustangs. They're not Mustangs. They're feral horses destroying the habitat of indigenous desert sheep, mule deer, and elk. So sell the horses to dog food companies and give us a tax break because you can make millions of. It's a horse. I love horses. The French eat horses. The Vietnam and the Chinese, they eat dogs. I love dogs. I'm not eating a dog, though. If you've eaten at a Chinese restaurant, I guarantee you've eaten. So we gotta be smart about this. The tens of millions of dollars wasted on the lie that those are Mustangs. They're not Mustangs. They're feral horses that destroy the habitat of precious indigenous wildlife. Yeah. So these are the issues that there's so many.
Ted, can I pose a D or an E here? Let me put this in front of you. This is a personal request from Jeremy and I. You guys care about whitetail deer hunters, I assume.
Yes,
we're on the list somewhere. I know there's a lot of other species out there, but Jeremy and I live in small world. We care about all those things, but especially whitetail deer. That's the world that we live in. The number one issue. Here, let me finish here, Ted. Is that we're facing personally, and that a lot of our friends and family is access. We're running out of places to go
and put people.
Yeah, and to put new people. We desperately want to recruit new people into the sport. We want to keep people who are enjoying the sport, hunting the places that they have for so long. And we're losing that at a rapid rate. And we feel that that's one of the biggest issues that whitetail deer hunters are facing. And we'd love to see Hunter Nation get involved in addressing that.
We will do that. But again, my advice is down to earth, pragmatic, and proven. And that is, if you are well groomed, articulate and polite, and you don't wait for opening day to knock on someone's door, start a relationship with nearby farmers. All farmers want, not all, but the vast majority of farmers and landowners want deer killed.
Yeah.
I have friends in Connecticut and New Jersey in urban areas that if you address the point of conservation and you politely ask for permission, 9 times out of 10, my friends are getting permission. By being starting early, offering a stipend, but most people turn down the offer of money. They just, give me a couple of back straps if you clean them properly and wrap them nice.
See, we're not seeing that, Ted. I think they are taking them. I mean, yes, they want deer killed, but it's hard to turn down $1, especially in today's day and age. A lot of these places that people have hunted permission on relationship basis are getting bought out. They're either buying the property itself, they're getting leased, they're getting outfitted. Money is hard to turn down.
And you can't fault that because
no, you can't. It's capitalism.
We all work hard to make a living, and if X resource can generate revenues, you have to respect that.
Yes.
I mean, I sell hunts here on my property in Michigan and here in Texas, and obviously I'm such a fun guy. Who wouldn't want to pay $20,000 to shoot an oryx with Ted Nugent around the campfire playing Fred Bear on a guitar, making you laugh till your belly hurts? So those are a special economic clientele. And then we sell inexpensive hog hunts on our game ranch in Michigan. People come and they have the time of their life, shoot beautiful trophy looking nasty pigs, and it's delicious. So I understand the economics of it. I've made my living in my dream world: music, hunting. The Spirit of the Wild TV show, the guided hunts on sunrise safaris, we sell them out every year. We have a riot every weekend, August, September, October, November, at our game ranch, killing pigs and goats and rams, and we have some whitetail deer hunters. So I understand the necessity of, if I love my music and I'm going to dedicate my life to the music. I discovered when I was about 12 that people, Walt gave me a free malt at Walt's Malt Shop on Warwick and Grand River in 1959 because some kids came to watch me play a Venture song on my guitar. So I went, wow, I can actually get a free malt out of the deal. So capitalism is a beautiful thing. So you can't fault that. But I still believe, guys, that approached properly, you can find a lot of free hunting. And here's another one. Trail cameras, all this technology, it's beneficial for happiness, but I don't think it helps you kill a deer. I really don't think it helps. The guys that go into the Manistee National Forest...
You don't think a trail camera helps you kill deer?
I don't think it helps you kill. I think
Come
it helps
on,
you kill
Ted.
deer.
Come on. You don't think a cell camera helps you kill a deer?
But I don't, maybe I'm out of the loop, but I don't watch trail cam. And I get them. It gets to be obnoxious. I get so many.
Here, I'll take it out of the Ted Nugent book of biblical here. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Trail cameras kill deer.
In my world, it does not, because I'm going to go to the stand with the right wind and that I see the animals with my own eyes. Because I don't have a trail camera at every stand. Yeah. So I'll have trail camera photos of different animals, both at high fence and low fence, and I still go to a different one to check it out. Yeah. So I don't kill any more deer with range finders or trail cams or.
Well, here, and I'll make it about me. Like, I'll be the guy. I kill a heck of a lot more deer because of cell cameras than I would without them.
Awesome. Good. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not alone, though. Is what I'm saying is lots of people are leveraging that technology along with lots of other stuff to kill more deer, and not just deer, bucks, right? These are guys
they're not killing more deer. They're killing more bucks.
Actually, the reason that we're killing less deer, I feel.
Selectivity.
Well, I would encourage everybody listening to kill more does, and of course that's based on your eyewitness, boots on the ground evidence. But I don't believe there's a spot in the nation where we don't have to kill some does.
Yeah.
And there's some places where you have to shoot fewer does, like in the northern lower of Michigan, and in the Upper Peninsula. I can't imagine how many deer died of the winter severity index up there. Oh my goodness.
Hammered.
Oh, they're going to really be. I remember back in the 78, they estimated over 300,000 deer starved in the Upper Peninsula back in those early snow blizzard days. But anyhow, to each his own. But you know what I've found, and I get people to come and hunt with me, whether it's a cheap hog hunt or just I make a donation to a charity, and a guy comes from wherever he comes from, the nicest guys in the world. Smart guys, big buck killers, doe killers, whack 'em and stack 'em, selective. I think I have a very accurate pulse and awareness of how diverse deer hunters think, hunt, and operate and what they believe in. And I believe that all bases are covered, but there are areas, and we know those areas are, where there's too many does that the game departments don't seem to know. Just driving down to the Rouge River with Troy Sandy and Troy Sandy Jr. to hunt at his mom's place, where I grew up, where there was no deer until the mid 60s. There's deer are just dangerously, irresponsibly overpopulated.
Oh, they know.
They have a limited doe tag. You have to pay $5 a piece. Just let us kill the deer and donate this venison to soup kitchens and homeless shelters. So it's quite a quagmire. Quite an obstacle course.
That's the problem from the state. The state wants to put a dollar figure on a doe tag because they want They want money.
They do know, Ted. Every state agency biologist stuff, they're racking their brains about how do we get people to kill does. They cannot.
They're like, how do we put a value back on it? In their mind, they're like, if I charge you $5, you put more value on that doe than if I charge you nothing, which I think is incorrect.
That's not true in the real deer hunting world. Like when I'm down on the Rouge River, I'll shoot every damn doe that crosses my path, but maybe I don't have a doe tag for that area.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't sure I was going to go, so I didn't get that area doe tag. Cut me loose. Yeah. Cut my buddies loose. We would shoot every doe that crossed our paths if you just make it easier.
There's your overregulation right there.
Yeah, that goes back to my statement about the DOGE, the Department of Government Accountability. I'd love to see how they spend our money. I guarantee it's a vulgar waste. Well, I guarantee if there's 10,000 people employed by the Michigan DNR, 1,000 could get the job done. Probably 200 could get the job done.
80% of the money goes to administrative salaries,
we agree.
Basically.
Yeah, sure.
So bottom line is, I think we've covered a lot of bases here. I think there's a lot of wisdom, but mostly when I speak, I don't guess.
Yeah.
I am a humble servant of my real world experiences and observations. I genuflect at the altar of God's science, his miracle, his creation. These deer, he made them the perfect size for an arrow. Even the elk and the moose, these are perfect. God made them perfect for a pump station disconnect from my 50-pound Matthews and a 2-blade broadhead. And Shemaine's 30-pound Matt. She kills everything with 30 pounds. Everybody get back to the graceful, easy, stealthy, none of this weight. God bless Cameron Haim, but nobody should shoot a 100-pound bow. I don't care who you are. It should be graceful and effortless. How many deer are you going to spook grinding back that 70-pound bow and hurting your shoulder and going to a crossbow? The guys that are going to a crossbow, they don't want to go to a crossbow, and I love the crossbow. I don't hunt with a crossbow, though I have a new mission, and I'm going to try it out because it's incredibly accurate. But most bow hunters want this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that full draw movement, that's the predator ballet that turns us on.
Yeah,
so
sure.
If you're having a hard time with your 70-pound bow because your local archery shop doesn't have anything under 70 pound, beg them to get a 40-pound bow and enjoy archery again. Fred Eichler, who's a He-Man, I think he can turn crowbars into pretzels. He's so strong, but he shoots a 40-pound recurve because it's graceful and he kills everything he shoots at. Archery and bow hunting should be about stealth and grace, not power. If you want power, get a 270.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Bushnell.
Man, what an iconic brand. I mean, I vividly remember growing up, it seemed like every serious deer hunter had a Bushnell pair of binoculars or a Bushnell rifle scope. You knew that those guys were serious about what they were about to go with if they were packing the Bushnell stuff.
No doubt, man. I remember Bone Collector guys and so many others that we've respected over the years. It's always been like your grandpa's rifle scope. And since then, obviously, they've developed so many great products. We're rocking the R series of binoculars this year. I believe it's the R5, 10x42s. Those have been awesome. We took those to TAC a couple weeks ago, along with the Broadhead rangefinder. It's got a ton of technology packed into it for angles and and for bow hunters ultimately. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things, we've talked about this with a lot of the brands we're working for, is we want high quality gear that's affordable. And that's exactly what Bushnell's trying to position here. They want to make really good gear that anyone that's serious about deer hunting can afford. And so most of those R5 series binos that we're talking about are under $300 for unbelievable glass.
No doubt. And so for right now, you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, to get a discount on the Bushnell website. That's bushnell.com.
All right, Ted, give me last question just because I need one from Uncle Ted. Give us a Fred Bear story. Give us an Uncle Ted. Just give us a good one, man. I know the brain's exploding with them, but like it's something that I'm sure everybody listening here just wants to know. Like, what was he like? What was it like being with him?
Well, number one, I'm like dangerously passionate about my life, and at the tip of that life is my craving, my obsession to create these songs. I love music. I'm having the best. I'm having so much fun. I'm having the best guitar music dream of my year. I got a band here in Texas. We're playing all over Texas. We get out all these hillbillies, man. They just teeth and eyeballs. They get so excited when I'm playing Dog Eat Dog and Wang Dang Sweet Poontang, the greatest love song. So my dream has always been from birth to express myself on this guitar noise, this guitar grind, groove, Motown, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, adventure, sonic, fun, outrage. And I'm living that dream. But equal to that was the mystical flight of the arrow. I was obsessed from the time I could walk. Right along the Rouge River, I made my own bows down by the river and baleen twine and made my own arrows until I got my first U longbow in '55, which I have hanging up at my Michigan cabin. It's wrapped in electric tape because it was starting to splinter. I still have that bow. And my cousin Mark Schmidt and I would go along the Rouge River, and a squirrel running on a power line, dead. I couldn't miss. I've shot so many arrows every day that I just couldn't miss. I wish I could do that again. I'm getting back to that. I'm shooting my bear recurve, and I'm getting like a 4-inch group at 15 yards, and I'm bringing it down. I'm gonna kill deer with my recurve this year. So the point is that my dad was already a bow hunter. I have his laminated longbow, 60 pounds at 28 inches. I have that in my bow collection in the Michigan barn. And my dad, coming out of World War II, he couldn't have stated what he was doing, but what he was doing, like Roy Case and everybody else, they were getting out of the Industrial Revolution, electronic stress outrage of the modern world. Every October, we'd go north in the Ford station wagon, and I'd always make sure that the quiver of arrows, they're a lot like this arrow with the old high helical and I'd put it in the window of the station wagon to see if I could see anybody else's arrows, because there was a Miller's feed store on Grand River, and I was fascinated at the bows and arrows on the wall. And you could get a Port Orford cedar arrow with 140 grain a field tip for 10 cents a piece. After the season, 10 cents for a beautiful arrow. You got to be kidding me. So anyhow, if I had 2 or 3 arrows, I'd consider that an arsenal. So we'd stop at this little shack in Grayling. I was just a little boy. I started before my memory was developed, but by the time I was 5 or 6, I started realizing we're going in this little stone shack, cinder block, kind of an off yellow with a piece of hand-carved wood said Bear Archery over the front. And we'd go in, and there's this big, tall guy and a lot of arrows. So I was already excited. Lots of arrows. Boy, I wish I had a lot of arrows. And so there was a lot of arrows, and he had the press where he was inventing the lamination process between the veneer of woods and fiberglass, and the glass was running over. I remember I could see it right now. I was just a little boy. So we'd visit with this guy named Fred, and I didn't know nothing. I didn't even know who Chuck Berry was yet. And we'd go and stop at the Grayling restaurant, and Fred would sometimes join us for cherry pie and chocolate milk. And I didn't know who he was. I had no idea that he was the man that was now in charge of my fascination with the mystical flight of the arrow. And then by the time I was 6 or 7, I'm starting to realize, that's the guy on the cover of True magazine with a polar bear. Well, this is a bow hunting guy. This is the Chuck Berry of bows and arrows. So I became like a Gaga fan kid, right? And he was always so kind and funny. And my dad and Fred would talk. And once in a while he'd give an arrow. So I'd take one of his pretty arrows. He'd give it to me, and we'd stop there every year. As the years went on, by 57, 58, he wasn't there as much because he was off doing safaris and filming. But we'd always stop, and Nels Grumley, his bowyer, he would sometimes be there. He was the guy that would sign those bows with a wood burner or something. So I was there in the beginning, where in Wisconsin, it was Roy Case who Fred Bear was following, because Roy Case opened the first archery-only season in Wisconsin, I think 34, 35, before I was born. So I'm fascinated by my guitar and the bow and arrow equally. And I couldn't wait to just get up there and see Fred. So as the years went on, we never killed a deer. I don't remember seeing any deer. We'd find some poop and get all like poop in a track. Hey, there's poop in a track. Oh, there got to be a deer somewhere. So I started at the very origins, like right after Les Paul electrified the guitar from a background instrument to the proper front ground instrument. So as the years went on, we'd meet with Fred almost every other year or so. And just a kind man, and I was fascinated because then I'd see him on the American Outdoors, the American Sportsman, and shooting elephants and shooting the stone sheep, lobbing an arrow over the cliff. Oh, what a guy! What a shooter! And then one time at an Elks Lodge in Gaylord, 1959, right after I moved from 23251 Florence on the Rouge River to up by Southfield, 15963 Warwick. I can't see clean and sober. Your brain works.
Clean.
So I'm nuts with bow and arrow. I had a Ben Pearson semi-recurve now and a quiver full of arrows. And I'm I just shoot doves and starlings and nighthawks off the telephone lines and squirrels. And if the raccoon was bothering the neighbor, boy, little Ted Nugent would fix that for you. I was just obsessed with trying to get an arrow into something. And I was really an incredible shot because I didn't have any psychological grown-up baggage yet. So at the Elks Lodge in Gaylord, we went and Fred Bear was going to put on a shooting demonstration. Guys, you're going to love this. This is before OSHA or any government interference. And they were throwing discs over the audience, and Fred Bear was shooting them out of the air. And I remember because we drew a raffle and we won a pillow. We won a pillow from the raffle that night, watching Fred Bear at the Elks Lodge shooting thrown discs over the audience's head. Jeez. And Ann Marston was the state champ, a young, beautiful gal, was the state champion, a kind of a follower of Fred's, and she would sometimes put on shooting demonstrations. She was just a young girl. So then I moved out of Michigan in 1965 after my band, the Lourdes, won the Michigan Battle of the Bands. We opened up for the Supremes at the brand new Cobo Hall. And then my dad got transferred and we had to move to Illinois. And we had the #1 band in Michigan. We were rocking our balls off and I'm meeting Fred Bear. Now we move out of Michigan. You guys. So the day I landed in Illinois, I went to this club called the Cellar, and I saw the band Shadows of Night were the #1 band. I went, that's the #1 band. We kicked their ass. They're playing too nice. That's too nice. You don't play nice. So I started the Amboy Dukes that day, and we became the #1 band in the suburbs. In 1965, we won that battle, and we were the terror of, because we played high energy, like Mitch Ryder, the Detroit Wheels, and James Brown and Wilson Pickett. We were just savage, grinding groove. There's no Caucasian element to our music whatsoever. And so that's 1965, 1966. I graduated in 1967 and came back to Michigan. And right away, I wanted to go up to Grayling. But now it's not a little shack. It's this huge bear archery museum, epicenter of global bows and arrows. Jeez. And I went in and I kind of looked, my hair was growing a little bit. I had the Amboy Dukes and I kind of dressed like a hippie, though I was the ultimate narc. And so I go into this big giant Fred Bear place and I asked the lady, I said, is Fred here? And he goes, yeah, he's in his office. Let me see, I'll get him. And he came out and he didn't recognize me because I was grown up and I had longer hair. And he he looked like he was a little uncomfortable with me because hippies had a bad reputation, even though I was the anti-hippie. And he took me in his office and played me that footage, the raw footage of him shooting that tiger from the Mashan over in India.
Oh, yeah.
Showed me some of this footage, and he was very kind. But the story goes, that was 1967. The story goes, now I'm with the Amboy Dukes. We're playing every night. We're playing all over, nonstop. I mean, I'm shooting my bow on stage, flaming arrows, shooting skulls and off the amps. But the people put their wigs on or a hat at a store. Yeah. We'd paint a skeleton face on it. I'd shoot a flaming arrow. How I got away with that, I can't believe I didn't kill anybody. So I'm shooting flaming arrows on stage. So the next, a year later, I went back to meet Fred because we played up there north of Saginaw. And when he came out now, he was all enthusiastic. Ted, it's great. Come on in. Great to see you. It was really an obvious change of attitude. And he sat me down and he said, all my friends, all they do is talk about this kid, Ted Nugent, shooting his bow and arrow on stage and doing all these interviews about being clean and sober and about focusing on the mystical flight of the arrow and revering our predator instinct to eat venison. He goes, you're doing it great. I can't believe the stories people tell me because I was fighting for being clean and sober. He loved that.
Yeah.
And I was shooting a bow and arrow on stage that people would have never, ever heard of archery. Rock and roll fans. So he really embraced me, and he started inviting me now to his hunting lodge, Grouse Haven, up in Rose City. So every fall I would go to Grouse Haven, no matter what I was doing, even if I only had an afternoon. I had a gig that night. I'd drive my car up, and I'd 120 miles an hour just to hang out with Fred for a couple hours. And eventually I got to stay a couple days here and there, but I hunted with him. So I take it from the first encounter in 1955, 1956 to 1987 in October. I had a great, he invited me to all his birthdays. He sent me letters. I should have kept those. Oh, geez, what a jerk. Had a great relationship with him and Henrietta and all the bear guys. And because I got a big mouth, but I use my big mouth to promote important stuff like being clean and sober, conservation, the discipline of archery, and the fun of archery. The fun is on stage shooting flaming arrow. People don't know whether to shit or go blind. This guy comes out in a loincloth screaming, shooting flaming arrow. I wish I wasn't me sometimes just so I could watch me. So now we're in October 87. And he comes out with his oxygen tank. And everybody, when we're around the campfire with him, everybody's talking. And that's why if you're at a campfire with me, you can't talk. If somebody's talking, everybody else shut up and listen to the guy talking, especially if it's Fred Bear. So I would hone in on his wisdom. And when everybody else would go out to the tree stands that he baited, I would stay at the camp with him because he wasn't hunting anymore. We'd walk down those trails with that oxygen tank on wheels, and he would thank me for what he's watched me promote, clean and sober and bow hunting. And he said, boy, Ted, I wish we could reach the people you do. He said to me, Ted, whenever I go to this SHOT Show or any event, any hunting convention, everybody under 40 wants to know if I know Ted Nugent. So if I have a little too much confidence, gentlemen, that might be why.
Yeah.
Fred Bear said, Ted, you're doing the right thing. Thank you. He goes, it's a little different than what I would do. I go, you think? But he said, it's your passion and you bring so much fun. If you're not having fun, you're not going to buy a bow and arrow. It's got to be fun. And God bless Chuck Adams and God bless Jim Doherty and God bless all these trophy monster killers. None of them exude the fun that I do. And if you find a critic of Ted Nugent, it's because I'm having too much fun for them. Well, he's a little over the top. No, I'm not a little over the top. I'm way over the top. I don't do a little over the top where I play country music and put everybody to sleep. So the point is, did you get that?
Yes.
Anyhow, so we walked down that trail in October of 87. He thanked me. And he said, keep doing what you're doing. And then he died that next spring. And that's when that song came out of me like a tsunami. You could tell right now it was so powerful, I couldn't stop it. And I called Henrietta and I tried to sing it for her and I couldn't. Like right now, I can't even talk about it. And I got my band together and I said, Mike, Gunner, find a studio. Something's happening. Something's happened. You got to record this thing that's happening. And they didn't know who Fred Bear was. They thought it was a song called Fred the Bear. I got it.
And it's become an anthem, man. All these years later.
It's so powerful. When that song comes on, when I play it on stage, the discipline necessary to wait for the broadside shot, leg forward, that discipline?
Oh, yeah.
Multiply that 1,000,000-fold, and that's what I have to do when I sing that song on stage, or I'll completely do what I'm doing right now. I'll completely fall to pieces because it brings back what that man meant, not just what he meant to me, but he was a force. He was funny. He was cocky. He loved the ladies. But what a genuine soul. Smart, defiant, went against. Roy Weatherby was developing long-range cartridges. Awesome. Fred thought it was awesome, but he thought there was something more. Yeah, if you can kill him at 500 yards, that's awesome. But try it at 5 yards. Call me when you kill him at 5 yards. Am I bringing your bells, guys?
That's it. That's why we do it. I mean, if anybody asks us about bow hunting, it's like we want them in our lap. We want to get as close as possible.
So that song, that all you have to do is when I play that song for people that never heard of Fred Bear, by the first chorus, they know Fred Bear. Because that song, it's not just a song. It's It's something out. It's something unbelievable. What a pattern. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know if this. I think I can push this button. But I just sat down that morning. I just went. Are you kidding me? There I was, back in the wild again. Felt right at home, where I belong. Anyhow, I cried like a baby. My wife came in and said, "What's wrong?" And I just kept going, and she held me, and I sang those words. I didn't have a pencil and paper. I didn't know I was going to create a Fred Bear song. It just all of a sudden hit me, and it came out because I live a pure life.
Mm-hmm.
Drive my critics crazy, which is so rewarding. I love creating pain and suffering in idiots' lives just by being happy. So my life is so pure and so reverential to God's creation as a duty-bound participant that song, I'd never played that lick before. And I didn't write a word. I sang. There I was back in the wild again. Felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again. The spirit of the woods is like an old good friend. Makes me feel warm and good inside. And I know his name. And good to see him again. Because in the wind, he's still... Are you kidding me? You can't write that.
No.
Yeah, well, today I'm going to write a song about my buddy Fred. Let's see, what should I write? What key should it be in? What kind of tempo? No thinking. No thinking. Doing. Channeling. So thank you, everybody, for making that song so powerful. I could tell you stories about little boys and girls dying whose last request in life is to hear Fred Bear around a campfire with Ted Nugent. Yikes. When and where, bring them, do it. And that's another moment where I can't cry like I just did. I got to be strong for the little boy and little girl. Yeah. But that's why I know that I'm on the right track. When I sing that song for little Macon Lynn, 6 years old, dying of leukemia, he asked his mom and dad if he could hear Ted Nugent sing Fred Bear.
As a bow hunter, I don't know a bow hunter that doesn't know that as like their deep anthem. Like, yep. You hear the chord, you hear the words. Yeah.
It makes your truck go faster, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you also like immediately put yourself into like, why you're a bow hunter at that moment.
Yeah.
Pretty special guy. That song says it all. Even though I've written some outrageous, Stranglehold is when the Blackhawks were going to Venezuela last month.
Oh, yeah. That's freaking unbelievable, dude.
It's a monster because I don't write, I channel. I don't think, I don't contemplate like these country artists do. Well, what's the popular key? What's the popular theme? What's the tempo? What's the popular tempo? Get the fuck up. What are you gonna marry a blow up doll?
Here's my admission, Ted, and don't sue 14-year-old me. But I started filming hunts when I was 14 or 15, right? Just like home video type stuff. And I'd make them for like my family. We'd watch it at deer camp or whatever. And every time a deer was about to get shot with a bow, Stranglehold intro would play.
I'm telling you.
Here they come.
So like by the fourth or fifth hunt, like Buck's just walking in the field and the Stranglehold starts like, he's fucked.
He's coming.
Yeah,
he's done. It's about to happen.
Well, Fred Bear is the spiritual soundtrack. Stranglehold is the killer soundtrack.
That's it. Yeah, he's dead. Yeah,
we'll be ripping it on the way to turkey camp.
Well,
next
I'm really serious too. I can't thank people enough. You can't. Well, maybe you can imagine the life I lead and how everywhere Shemaine and I go, we are approached all the time, everywhere, by the nicest, kindest, well-groomed people thanking me for fighting for their freedoms.
Absolutely.
And fighting for their hunting rights and their gun rights and articulating the way I do. It's sometimes harsh because sometimes harsh is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But my words have iron. And our Spirit of the Wild show is so popular because we don't play games. And if you want to wait for that giant buck, I love you. If you want to shoot that doe fawn, I love you. And if you want to shoot them, I have some criticisms of some of the TV shows. Like if your son or daughter doesn't know how to take the safety off the gun, they're not ready to go hunting yet.
No.
If you did everything, if you baited and built the stand and you just walked them into position, you're denying them what makes us hunters to begin with. The kids should do it all and earn the excitement that he will not experience if you do it for him. And if you have to adjust the scope and stand behind him so the recoil doesn't blast him and tell him to wait and tell him to wait till it's brought, he's not ready to go hunting, and you're doing a horrible disservice to that child.
Yeah, and guess what? They're going to screw up. But that's part of it. That's how you learn.
Yep. So I know what I'm doing here. I am on a jihad for truth, logic, and common sense to use all my energies and resources to promote the perfection of hunting, fishing, trapping, hands-on conservation, the purity of my right to keep and bear arms without infringements, and to get accurate constitutional representation from my elected employees. Find fault with that, and you're a Michael Moore fan.
Well, man, we appreciate all the time. We love you. We appreciate you being vocal, because frankly, you don't have to, man. You've put your time in. You do your thing.
Yeah, I'll say that, but that's true.
Right?
I mean, I got life dicked, man. I got the Serengeti. I'm going to go get in a tree stand here in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I need to shoot. I need to shoot some female Aoudad. I need to shoot some female axis, though that's hard to do because they're pregnant all year, and I don't like to shoot a pregnant one. So you really have to examine the belly and the.
Yeah, that's tough.
So I got hunters coming in to shoot oryx. I shot 2 beautiful oryx here in the last couple months, which is almost impossible. They're like ghosts. So and every pig, every varmint that comes in, I zap them. I will never fail to shoot a varmint. A coyote is the greatest trophy in the world as far as I'm concerned with a bow and arrow. Bobcats too. I've killed like 11 bobcats with my bow because they come in. And they tend to look at you. Sure, you shoot them right. But anyhow, I love this stuff. Thank you guys for dedicating this outrageous technology to promoting this precious, essential conservation lifestyle. That's really what it's all about. And anybody that wants to know what I'm up to, they can go to tednugent.com. I spent the morning in between killing raccoons signing these hats. You can get them at tednugent.com. And I want to promote those sponsors that promote our Spirit of the Wild show. We have so many great sponsors that all enhance the quality of my outdoor lifestyle. So when you see somebody on the Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild show, it's the real McCoy. I use it because it's quality and it works. And here it is, 2026. You know what, gentlemen? In my world, these are the good old days of deer hunting and hunting overall. Even though the ducks didn't show up this year, I got to figure that shit out. But in the world of deer hunting, I'm having the best deer hunting that I could have ever imagined. And it's about prioritization, conscientious communication with our elected employees at the game departments. But if you're not calling your game departments, if you're just bitching around the campfire, they laugh in your face.
Absolutely.
You have to know your game wardens by name. You need to call them. You need to talk to them, buy them lunch. You need to know your senators and congressmen and your mayor and your governor's office. They need to hear from you. If your elected employees don't know you by name, you're not only inconsequential, you're a problem.
Yeah.
Because the people who hate what you do, they're contacting them and you're not. Yep. So I'm an activist. This sacred experiment, self-government, has driven me wild for 78 years. I've saluted too many flag-draped coffins and done too much charity work. I'm meeting Don Graves, 101-year-old survival of Iwo Jima. He wants to meet me before he dies. He's coming to my gig next week. He wants to meet Ted Nugent. If Don Graves, who survived Iwo Jima, thinks I'm okay, I'm okay.
Yes, sir.
God bless you guys.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Primos.
Dude, double bull blinds, the original doe can, and who could forget the iconic Magnum buck roar?
I mean, that in a nutshell is Primos for whitetail deer hunters. I mean, that buck roar is by far the best grunt call that's ever been made. I lost it in a CRP field in Kansas, somehow found it, and for the last 10 years, I've been notching every buck that I've called in with that call, and I can tell you there's a lot of marks on it.
Been a lot of them over the years, man. I can recall. So my dad actually shot that 160-inch 8-point in Ohio a couple years ago. It was double bull blind. I just set that up a few days before, and we've had a lot of success out of those over the years. And so right now, you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, for a discount off anything on the Primos website. That's primos.com.
Speak the language.
Ted Nugent, man.
I said buckle up before we got started. 2.5 hours later, I think I had the airbags go off a couple times.
Yeah. Well, there's just, you can just, in the best way possible, just wind him up and let him go. I mean, he's got so much life experience and stories to tell. And I hope that we successfully navigated a few different, topics or like regions of discussion there. But he, clearly he kind of pioneered that for us. So we're happy to go along for the ride. It was fun.
Well, I mean, I think that a few things. I think there will definitely be some people that listen to this that are just like, I don't like Ted.
Yeah.
And he knows that. That's why, and honestly, I think even the beginning part was a really unique inside look at Ted, in that Ted has a bubble, and it's the people he surrounds himself with, and he don't give a shit about anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's why he's happy and, enjoys everything he's doing.
Yeah.
Is because if he listened to the noise outside of those people outside the bubble, yeah, it would disrupt what he's striving for, which is, like he said, just easy life, simple life, happiness, music, hunting type thing. On the game side, we've talked about it. I mean, there's definitely good game wardens and there's bad game wardens, just like anything. Good cops, bad cops. It is insanely frustrating and I know they're just doing their job on some of the simple reg type stuff. Yeah. Didn't cut the tag, black this out.
Yeah.
Bow cases and
it's obviously a big area of focus for him, and it is a problem, but I don't think it's like a nation. It is a problem. Like, I'm not dismissing it at all, but it's, it's affecting a small percentage.
I think we dabbled down that rabbit hole enough. Like, the reg thing was an interesting one because it is like, in one way, it's like, well, you need regs or everybody abuses it. But also I'm like...
Well, that's why I asked him the question. I said, fundamentally, how do you feel about game laws? And because, in the same way, he would say, who are you to tell me that I can't shoot, this or that? It's like, okay, well, you can take it the other direction. And it's like, well, who are we to tell you you can't shoot, 10, or at any time of the year? So...
And I mean, do you think people would? Like, I guess we never really got down there because it was...
Yeah.
But... Like, it's say in a multiple buck state like Michigan right now, Illinois, Missouri, like most people don't shoot more than one buck anyways, even though it's legal.
Right. And I would wholeheartedly agree that he is, and obviously he's pro 2-buck, in Michigan. And he's got 1,200 acres. Like, yeah, the guy should be able to shoot 2 bucks if he wants. Like, yeah. Does that apply to the general population? That's where we got into a discussion about, and although Michigan's not high fence, it is a rarity. It's got to be one of the bigger properties in the state kind of a thing. So,
yeah, and I think just the crossover.
You got to figure out regs that work for everybody. Sorry.
Yeah, and the crossover there too is that, and I think Ted would be he started where he was looking for deer shit in a track to now where we're extremely overpopulated. Yeah. His heyday of hunting, although it is very much now, also was through the peak of tradition, which was November 15th gun season, 2 bucks, no antler point restrictions, go and kill the first deer you see with your bow, which still is several generations have that mindset, but a lot of the newer generations aren't. They're like Toby, his son, that are like, hey, I want to shoot it at maturity. I'm going to pass up all these bucks. And
right.
So that's why I was trying to find, like, in his opinion, was like, is there a way to have that balance? Because most people would say, well, we never had that balance back in the day. And I would agree. It was very skewed to everybody shot the first legal buck and probably very few people were passing bucks to kill something bigger. if anything, I think we're as close to balance as possible now in terms of how many people are passing deer looking for a better quality. Maybe it's not maturity, but maybe it's a 3-year-old instead of a 2-year-old.
Right.
And the guys who are just out there to kill a deer.
Yeah, I would say there's way more on that side.
I would say closer.
Yeah.
And so do regulations keep that closer? Or do they skew that? That's what I was looking.
Yeah.
That was where I was thinking we were going to go.
Well, it was interesting. We find ourselves in the middle where obviously there are regulations in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, is it better to just have no regulations? There's an argument for that. It's like, do we fully understand people's mentality and what would happen,
I think if you had no regulations, immediately you would be left with government versus rich landowners. And there's no middle ground.
Well, see, that's where I think we're going, like with overregulation.
I think you'd be there overnight.
Why do you think with no regulation?
Because I think guys would lock up land immediately to make sure that the resource was protected. No different than you feeding to keep deer on your property.
So maybe it has the same result. So maybe somewhere in the middle.
One's faster than the other to get us there.
That's fair.
So in the current projection,
I'm inclined to agree with you.
We're getting there, right?
Yeah.
It's just, is there anything we can do in the interim to slow that and change direction? The no regulation is we're there tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just better regulation. It's science based, and it's not to take,
he's not wrong,
not to
on
deviate
the
or take away,
thing.
but from where these states are failing miserably is they don't understand hunters. They don't understand how we will take and manipulate regulation to get what we want.
Yet, I would say the majority of them are making decisions based on social results, not biological results. And that,
frankly, is my hesitancy to promote something like a Hunter Nation. If I'm just being honest, it's like, it's great on the wolves and stuff. The Sunday hunting thing, I am for.
Huge.
I'm not saying there's
grizzly bear
things
thing
that I'm against, but like, I didn't sense a whole lot of acknowledgement that like access is a big problem for whitetail hunters when I know that it is.
Well, I think that, and this is any organization, I think most of the groups have a very good purpose, but it's at a national level. The whitetail deer issue is a local level, state and down. I think you need a national organization to help.
Yeah, I agree.
Those state, like, Hunters Advocate of Ohio, like an Iowa Sportsman, they keep going down. Any of those groups, you need a national group to support them
I agree.
To make it happen. There is still no one doing that.
I know. Yeah.
At all.
Yep.
Doesn't exist.
So from that perspective, I'm just carefully approaching.
But it was interesting on the political thing because that makes sense. So basically, he rallied hunters' votes in 2024. We won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania swing states. Probably had a big effect in that by recruiting the hunters to vote in those states.
Yeah, for sure.
So, political machine.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. So, anyways, I hope you don't have whiplash. And
it was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And honestly, he brought up some other people that we probably need to have on.
Yeah, Kip and those guys. Yeah. Chuck Adams. I got Chuck Adams' cell phone.
And Chuck.
Probably text him out of nowhere.
And Eichler as well. Yeah.
Yep. And if anything like that, that Fred Bear story was really cool at the end.
Yeah.
I've never heard it anywhere, and I just kind of wondered, I'm like, how's this guy fall into line with Fred?
Pretty interesting.
I didn't realize it was him and his dad going to the shop.
Just happened, man.
Wow. So, anyways, we appreciate everyone listening to episode 317 of HUNTR Podcast with Uncle Ted Nugent. Long overdue, and we will see you on the next one.
Later.
Take me